just could have taken, like as all possibilities. The second thing I wanted to say, um, just kind of aligned. So.
The floor is open for anybody who wants to jump.
Well, this is why we need Soren.
In a calm way, I want to understand because from Egyptian, because my understanding was tribal last name al-Masri was meaning from Egypt. But you said it wasn't. Can you explain it without being upset?
No, it's okay.
I'm not calling you a liar. I'm not calling you a liar, but that's what I've always read.
Yeah, let me explain. In our culture as Arabs, the majority of our names have meaning, but it doesn't mean that this meaning is necessary to be really true. For example, if I call myself Karim, Karim means in English kind or generous, but it is not a description, it's just a name. So when my title, so many people's name, the family name is El-Ghazar, for example. It means in English butcher. Does that mean that he's originally a butcher? No, it is just a name. So many people are called El-Maghrabi or coming from El-Maghrib, Morocco. It doesn't mean that he is coming from Morocco. This is just a name. So many names in our culture lexically have meanings, but it doesn't mean that it has something to do in reality. It is just a name. You got my point?
Well, we have the same thing in our religions, that our ethnicity, Klein and Smith, and even place names. It exists, but is it fair to say that people with the tribal last name al-Masri, their descendants came from Egypt, but they currently are living someplace else or not?
It is not necessary. So we have, for example, so many people, their family name is, what can I call? Let me give an example. Just as I told you, like El-Maghrabi or is coming from Morocco, El-Iraqi is coming, El-Iraqi is just a name, but it doesn't mean that they are coming originally from Iraq. It's just like that. They are just names. It is not necessary to have something to do in reality. They are just names. In our culture, as I tell you, so many names have meaning, but it doesn't mean that it has something to do in reality.
But here's what Fatih Hamad, the Hamas Ministry of the Interior, said on March 23rd, 2012. This is where I originally got this notion. He said, in quote, this is published in a newspaper interview, "Who are the Palestinians, question mark. We have many families called al-Masri, whose roots are Egyptian. They may be from Alexandria, from Cairo, from Damietta, from the north, from Aswan, from Upper Egypt. We are Egyptians, we are Arabs, we are Muslims, we are part of you, Egyptians. Personally, half my family is Egyptian and the other half are Saudis." So, did you get it wrong? And it's not a gotcha question. I'm trying to put or understand or make the same thing true with what he said and what you're saying and what I've sort of known from research in the past.
Families who are coming from Egypt, is it necessary that their last name or their family name is al-Masri? It is not necessary. And being called as al-Masri, it doesn't really mean that they are really coming from Egypt. It's just a name.
How did they get that name?
Well, I don't know. But, I'll tell you
like
something.
my name is Steinberg. Where did
I
that
don't
come
know,
from?
to be honest. I didn't search, but it's a good question. Maybe I will check.
I'll just take him at his word, like, this is, 2000 dollars, 12 years ago. So I've been walking around with this knowledge or at least this thought for many years. So that's why I push back a little bit, politely, but I push back on, this notion is just a name. Names have significance in all cultures, so it has to mean something, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay. But you asked me a good question. I really need to search.
Fatih Hamad, he's still in power.
Fathi, it's coming from Fath. Fath means opening.
Yeah, that's his given name. That's not his family name.
Yeah. Hamad is coming from Hamad, and Hamad, like, when you be thankful for God.
Yeah.
And when you say Alhamdulillah, it's like thank God. So
Alhamdulillah. How's
Yeah,
my
exactly.
Alhamdulillah? Did I do it well?
Yeah. Very well.
Next, Micah.
Okay. So I have a good question, or just a question to you. Hopefully it will not happen, but do you think that Iran will respond, and how?
No. It's. I think they will, and I'm not sure how. But for them not to respond or react, or they're not reacting, for them not to be able to respond would bring shame upon them in the eyes of many. It would be a sign of weakness, effectively. It'd be an acceptance of defeat to a small degree. And I don't know. Look, I mean, that's my gut feeling. How they actually do it might not be directly from Iran. Look at what they've done in recent times, 350 missiles and drones, collectively, that really didn't even scratch the surface in Israel. They were ineffective, completely ineffective. They already have egg on their face as a result of that. They're internationally disgraced. Within the culture, they've been disgraced. If they do try something, they're very aware that America will get involved. They already know that there's about 14 ships that are coming from America into the region. It's not just to be able to change around military personnel in the region. They know that. So they'd be actually foolish to respond. And I think they're fucked either way. It actually might be that they'll get Hezbollah involved and somehow implicate Lebanon within this territorial battle, which will in some ways sort of wash their hands to some degree. I don't know. That's just my thought.
Can I raise a separate point?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
I'm not completely convinced, and I don't mean this to just throw the thing around, but is there a scenario where Israel did not do this? Where I think the regime in Iran is teetering, that they don't have a lot of broad-based support, and there's a lot of factionalism within Iran. Maybe someone said, Hamas, they're really dragging us down. This is not helpful. And wanted to cut their losses. I mean, to smuggle a bomb into a highly secure compound in Tehran where foreign dignitaries say, which is more likely, Occam's razor, that someone within Iran did it, or that Israel smuggled the weapon in June into that particular room and knew exactly where he was gonna stay.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
and by the way, did you notice that PIJ,
Yaakov,
what Palestine Islamic Jihad,
yeah.
met with
I was
the
gonna say, look, I mean,
president?
Israel's made it known that they've been able to manage to get into
Yeah, I
Iran, to be able
know.
to steal
Let's
documents
not-
and
Let's
Yeah.
not
let's not rule
just
it out
automatically assume
Yep.
that they did it. That's all I'm
Fair enough.
suggesting. Like
Yep.
until Iran knows that Israel did it, they would be foolish to attack Israel, right? Like they're making that leap. Oh, Israel did it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's one thing.
originally-
Yaakov, I think there's one thing about the practicality whether they've done it or not. It's another thing to be able to face the court of public opinion.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
and
I
what the
agree
perception
completely.
is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But they would have to do it in such a way that they get away with it. Like that actually something that they're able, to your point, they're able to respond and have an effective response. Because if they do another response that is weak and actually doesn't achieve anything, they've been talking for years to the population about how great a military power that they've developed, and they are the regional bulwark to Israel. And I think it would just show that the emperor has no clothes. And that in itself is not off to a good look. So
Well, I think put into context at the same time that if Iran was to be able to do something directly, or for that matter, if it was the Houthis in Yemen, there is a signalling that that allows like an enormous amount of time relative to that of Hezbollah to be able to defend itself. Israel has been able to manage to pretty much pick up just about every single rocket and attempt, bar a small, very small handful to be able to get through. However, which would give Israel the time to be able to prepare and to be able to potentially retaliate and defend and so forth. Whereas if Hezbollah was involved instead as Iran's proxy, then there would be a much bigger problem that Israel would have to face within a much shorter period of time. So that's again, like I guess another reason why I would think that they would use a proxy instead of going direct, or maybe even a combination of the two.
So, yeah, but like I actually think that the point that you make about this happening from the inside, I think that that's a fair one. But I guess in terms of the response, I mean, I think that they would still respond regardless. I imagine, maybe it would be less consequential of a response, but I don't even know if it matters.
it's a good point. It doesn't matter. And Rowan's point about the court of public opinion is strong. But I think in the end, my guess, and I'm not a geopolitical analyst, I don't play one on TV, is they'll come through their proxies because they're closer, more effective, and especially Hezbollah in the north. So hopefully nothing will happen, but we'll see. Something, unfortunately, from their point of view, has to happen or they'll look weak. So,
Actually, go ahead and jump in.
I was gonna say the sun soaring. So that was a lot.
what'd you say, Soren knows?
Yeah, I mean they sent Soren to us, and that's what we got.
So Soren being delivered to us is the retaliation.
Yeah, that's the retaliation.
But the other parties that want to retaliate is the Hezbollah, where we assassinated.
Daniel, you're really low. I don't know if you could get closer to your mic. You're clear, but you're just.
Okay, it's my anti-Semitic headphone. I will try to fix it very soon. Can you hear me? I will try to speak louder.
Yeah. I mean, it's good enough. I just didn't know yet.
So we have a few parties that want to attack us now because we eliminated Shuker and Hania died, which we don't know which. So there are two sides that are coming. Iran obviously can activate both the Houthis, the Hezbollah in Iraq, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the people in Gaza. Now, after Hania was assassinated, there was 0 rockets coming from Hamas in Gaza, which would mean two things. One is that Iran didn't allow them, Second, that they are unable to because they don't have any more capabilities as they had at the beginning of the war. But Hezbollah are preparing. Right now, they are telling people that live in buildings where they have like leaders to evacuate those buildings so they will not be, I guess, hit and to move to safety. And they are kind of moving people around the Dahia where we did the assassination. So they are preparing for something. It could be at the same time from all directions or not. Someone said that if Iran, I think maybe it was Ron, said that if they don't respond, that it might be humiliating for them, which is right. However, if they respond like they responded last time, it will also be humiliating for them. So I'm not sure how they will proceed in order to not be humiliated. They don't want to escalate because the United States sent like I think 12 warships to the area. So this is to keep out China and Russia and everyone else to be involved. And Iran being alone, I don't know if they want to do something massive. And they know that if they would kill anyone in Israel, we would retaliate strong like we did with Yemen.
Daniel, what are your thoughts on Turkey blocking NATO from doing an international coalition in Gaza?
I didn't know that.
It's not part of the NATO mandate. They can't. The NATO Article 4 and Article 5 only talk about attacks on one NATO country being an attack on all of them. Doesn't mean they can't do like what we did in Iraq. Turkey was right next door in some regards, and there's just no provision in the NATO treaty. There's also no provision to kick out a country, as some have called for Turkey's removal. That'd be interesting to see if they even tried that. It's uncharted territory. So I've read the entire treaty twice over, and there's nothing that prevents one country from doing something extra NATO, meaning NATO is not attacking, but the NATO charter is only in response to attack because it was created to defend against the Warsaw Pact, and it was meant to be like, okay, you invade. Pick a country, you invade West Germany. Well, that's an attack on everyone, and now you have to hear, from Canada, from France, from the U.S., from all the countries. So, they can't do anything.
It's a defensive treaty, right?
Yes, it was a defensive treaty to.
Yeah. So, I just want to ask: if Turkey now decides to get involved, and then they are being attacked because of their involvement, or they fire the first bullet. Will the treaty still be effective if they started something and then they need to defend themselves? Or how do you determine who's the aggressor and who's the defender?
It was meant to be, let me put it to like this. If you look at the era of, I think it was 1949-ish, that time frame, it was meant to be the Soviets rolled tanks through the Fulda Gap. That was like the biggest concern was the Fulda Gap. All of these tanks would just roll through and invade West Germany. It was meant to be someone fires the first shot at a NATO country, whether it's any form of munition, that all of the NATO countries respond. It wasn't Turkey fires a missile into Israel, and then Israel responds, now Turkey's been attacked. No, Turkey did the first thing. In this grand scope of things, that's not just the words, but the essence. You have to look at the era that it was created. It was a country gets invaded. It hadn't done anything to that point. It's just invaded. Okay, well, the whole notion is, well, you invade one of us, you invade all of us. And that's Article 5.
Good morning,
thanks so much. And Jay, I was about to say good morning. Can somebody give Jay a coffee with his foot massage? Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Definitely not you, Ashtray, be quiet. Daniel, good morning.
Oh! Jesus. Hey, Daniel. Cherie, thanks for being so patient. Gentlemen, have you noticed Cherie's been putting up her hands to talk? Welcome, Cherie.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. It's so nice to see you. And Katie as well, and thanks a lot for having the best rooms ever. I just want to say how ignorant or naive people can be. I don't want to attack someone, I'm talking gently and politely, but it's a matter of ignorance, okay? Egyptian was talking that we are Arabs, my name is blah blah blah. Egypt is in North Africa. That's all. We Persians are not Arabs. You are not Arabs as well. You lost your language after Arabs invaded your country. You lost it. You lost all the culture, and everything was so gracious and beautiful about your country, and you lost it. Okay, we lost it. We were great empire in the world, and we lost it after Arabs could invaded us. We could keep our language though, but unfortunately there are so many Persians, they called with the Arab names. If your name is Karim, it's because your language is Arabic, you are not Arabs. And Egypt is not in the Middle East, okay? Just learn the history. And why I came out to speak, because there are so many ignorant people and naive people that they are marching around, calling themselves as the pro-Hamas, and they just calling from the river to the sea or from blah blah blah. They don't know even where Israel is. They don't know even which state has been calling even Palestine or not. There is nothing on map that you could call it Palestine. So here we are suffering in the world because the majority, they don't use their brain, they don't even use the Google, that even now they are using the internet in 2024. Now we have to suffer because the evil people, just because of the wrong ideology, like his mullahs, extremist Muslims, whatever they are, they just want to invade countries. Israel belongs to Israeli people, okay? Even if you do consider yourself as an Arab, which you are not, but you have to know this land belongs to Jewish people, and it will be till eternity. You and everyone who is supporting pro-Hamas or whatever, blah, blah, you have to know the truth. If you could only use your brain, we never even faced such a this problem, as even my own people couldn't use their brain, and that's why they lost the king to the Ayatollah evil Khomeini, okay? That's because my people, unfortunately, they are extremist Muslims. We lost the land, we lost the glories. So there is nothing that you should be proud that if you are calling Karim, if I were you, just exactly like I am, Persian, I could be even ashamed of my history, that how we could let Arabs invade us. If the world is suffering, it's because of this Arabs' ideology as a Muslims. Don't laughing at me, laughing at yourself, because innocent kids are murdering by Hamas, okay? And even you people.
Sure. Hang on. No, I'm going to sort of pause you there, okay? Look, I was talking before about like steering away from pejoratives and also personal attacks as well. As was pointed out, look, it's more powerful to be able to speak to information that you come across that's been presented as being inaccurate by talking to it rather than the person where at all possible. I don't agree with some things the Egyptians says, and look, I mean, I don't think we're too far apart in some ways, in other ways we're fucking miles apart, but I'm able to speak to him about the actual points themselves rather than disparage his character. So I'm asking that for you and also anybody else that we just try and keep the conversation in that direction more than anything else. Thanks.
I'll try. Hold on. I'll try vote him, but he doesn't make it easy.
Thanks, Joe.
It's such a misinformation that he said we are Arabs. They are not Arabs, they are Egyptian, and Egypt is in North Africa. How can even he continue his conversation when he doesn't know such a obvious fact. That's my point. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Shuri. I've got it really clearly. I will just hang on for 1 second. I think it would be unfair not to be able to give Egyptian the right to be able to respond as kindly as possible. That'd be awesome.
Thank you, and I will not take so long, Rohan. Thank you. Cherry, if I pronounce your name correctly, thanks for being polite, but I was laughing when you said you should be shamed. No, I'm not shamed, I'm proud. We are Arabs. If you think that Arabs invaded us, okay, based on your perspective, I will take it maybe as yes, but after all, we have come one nation. We speak Arabic. We are in the Arab League. Yes, we are in Africa, and China is in Asia, and so many Arab countries are in both continents. Libya is in North Africa. They are Arabs. Saudi Arabia is an Arab, but it's not in Africa. So about these places and these continents and all these things, I'm sorry, doesn't mean anything. We all speak Arabic. We have come one nation based on your perspective. If you are thinking that we are not Arabs and we belong to Pharaonic history, still Pharaonic history is the greatest civilization. So I'm still proud that I belong to Pharaonic. So I hope that I answered you.
Egyptian, would it be fair to say that the assertion that she's making is that that Egypt has been Arabized?
I'm sorry, what do you mean, Rohan? I don't think
The question I have is, well, I thought it was pretty clear. Would it be fair to be able to say that Shuri's assertion is that Egypt has been Arabized, just as other countries in the region or other peoples have been Arabized over the years?
Well, based on her perspective and maybe yours too, after all, after being invaded by Arabs, which was with Islam, so being a Muslim, and I like to be Muslim and I like Islam respectively to other religions, of course. Okay, take it as you wish.
Yeah, anybody want to make a comment about that at all?
Yeah, I wonder why is it okay that Egypt was colonized by the Arabs and imposed Islam on the local population there? Why is it okay? And why shouldn't they free the original indigenous people of Egypt? And all the Arabs from Egypt should go back, and also the Islam should go back and leave the Egyptians. Why are they colonizers?
Yeah, okay. Meg, you've got your hand up, so if you'd like to respond, maybe, and then go back to Egyptian.
I don't know what was it me or who?
Egyptian, no, I was going to pass it over to Meg.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no. The only thing I'm going to speak to a little bit is sort of past history of Egypt. So I wonder if this is what his meaning. So Egypt, if you go back, let's see, 2,500 years. Okay, so you have a very different. Egyptian has a picture of the pyramids in his photo. The pyramids are a different culture. It's a different language. It's a hieroglyphic language. It's a different culture. There's priestesses. It's not necessarily monotheistic. It is a different culture, different religion. Yes, it has been. It was taken over by Arab armies, and first it was taken over by Greek, and then it was taken over by Romans, and then it was taken over by Arab armies. Correct. So it is Arabized, but there is a culture that is small, and there are some Egyptian Arabs who actually want to keep, like archaeologists, who want to retain that heritage, even though they may not. They themselves didn't know the hieroglyphics, but it's not real language spoken. But if you look at the museums, there is everything that's from a very, very different ancient culture. The pyramids, you have the Sphinx, you have the mummies, you have just all the tombs, you have all of the temples, you have all the temples at Karnak, you have all the way that there's these beautiful paintings, you have all these hieroglyphs that just talk about names and places and stories, and there's a whole history that is very, very culturally very, very different. So Egypt, yes, was. If you go back, Egypt was a very, very specific Egypt. And also, if you look at some of like what's now Sudan was like called like Nubia, Kush, Aksum, you had these empires that are vastly different than what they are now. Mostly taken out. There's, they've actually been more, those two have been Arabized. So it's not anything about, it's like neither is negative, like there's no criticism on either. It's just Egypt has a very, very rich history, especially if you go back to where, the pyramids are built into that culture where you have the hieroglyphs. That is the ancient Egyptian culture. And that is really only alive in the minds of archaeologists who can speak language and know the culture. But it's still being preserved. And that is really Egypt at its core. And the names are very, very Egyptian. I mean, I don't think that Tutankhamun would be taken as anything Arab. There's no, or any of these names. So thank you. Yeah, I wonder if that's, just want to share that. But I love ancient Egyptian history. I love nerding out on the hieroglyphs and just the incredible accuracy of just the incredible building that was done by hand with a hammer and tools, and dragging things. There's these things built. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Husha, would you like to
Good morning. If we go by that logic, then the Iraqis, it was Persia before the Arabs took over. Then they're Persian. Oh, no, they're not. They don't believe they are. Who am I to tell the Egyptian that he's not an Egyptian or he's not an Arab? It's not my place. He wants to be whoever he wants, and if he is comfortable and loves to be the individual that he thinks he is, it's not my business to go back and dig out 5,000 generations that has passed to say, no, you're that race. Well, Egyptian is happy with being an Arab, is proud to be a Muslim, and I take him as who he is. And of course, as a Persian myself, I appreciate that Egyptian and his people, they let our king rest there till we go and bring him back home. People have the right to choose who they are as far as heritage goes. And Iraqis and Syria and Jordanians, they're all was in Persia with the attack. Occurred when the Arabs, they took over. So is Syria, are Syrians Arabs? Well, they say, yeah, they are. Are they Muslim? Most of them, they say, yeah, they are. So it's not my place to go back and say who is what. That was my take. I talked about myself and my views, of course.
Lucia, why don't you repeat for Rohan and Kelly what you told me about my modern style yesterday? That's what I want to hear.
You, Jay, are in command of any rooms that you go and start. By the way, Kelly and Rohan is a fantastic combination. I've been listening since early AM today, and people of all views, they've managed under their command to respectfully talk to each other, and it's been beautiful as far as exchanging ideas, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for that. But when I say I'm writing in Roger, Mayhem, and Kelly on the presidential ticket, I'm not.
Yeah. So, anyways, I appreciate your room, guys.
I think Roger would make a fantastic vice president.
Thanks for that.
Awesome. Okay, where are we taking this conversation? That's the big question. Why isn't everybody over on Chatter yet? I mean, what the hell? Really? I mean, people want to talk about that. We've been talking about Middle East, Israel, Gaza, Palestinians, Egyptians, Arabization, all that sort of stuff. I actually really want to know now why people aren't on Chatter. What's going on?
Well, just to say, hold on, Cherry. believe chat is now available.
Yep. As of this morning, actually, let's maybe change it. As of about 12 hours ago, Chatter has now released Android. So anybody who's got an Android will be able to download it. They'll still require to be able to have an invitation to get onto the platform, which is still in beta stage. It's in public beta. It's been through 3 stages. We've been through an alpha stage, then there's been an internal beta. It's now gone to public beta, which basically means that people are able to download it and come in as beta testers with an invitation. Keep in mind that it's actually not fully released at this point in time. There's bugs and so forth, but from a personal perspective, they've done an incredible job in the space in a short period of time, which is only about 11 months. It's now, I think, not quite ready, but it's getting there. But it's got a lot of functionality that Clubhouse hasn't got. And it's probably got a future that Clubhouse may not have. And that's not me wishing that Clubhouse doesn't have a future, but it's just been quite realistic about it. But it's pretty cool over there.
Let's say 1 minute something. 1 second, please.
Okay, I didn't understand that. Sure.
Can I speak for 1 minute or few seconds, please?
Yeah, sure. Sherry, what's going on?
Thank you. I just want to say how this Egyptian just rejected that Egyptians are not, they are not Arabs. So how can we expect them to understand that Israel is defending itself? This is the point that, that I have problem with.
I hear what you're saying, Sherry.
With Soren, all the modes, all these events,
Sure.
Go on, what is she saying?
I hear. Okay. It was a little bit going backwards in terms.
May I, Rohan?
No, you speak a lot Egyptian. Okay, just you ignore even the truth that
If you talk
we are
about
in
me,
North Africa.
Sure. Okay. Hang on. No, I don't want to go backwards. Jay, unless you want to be able to take it back to that topic, that's up to you, man. I just thought, it's time to be able to move it back, move it on in so much shape.
Well, Meg, hold on. Meg, I know you hear me. Hold on a second. Thank you. Go ahead, take it back to where? I still don't know what you said.
Okay. Look, we've been talking about Israel, Palestine, and blah blah blah. Middle East for literally hours upon hours now. I was suggesting let's move it on. I want to actually know. I was actually wondering why people haven't gone over to Chatter at this point in time. Why they haven't been over there. It's a bloody good platform.
I'm sorry. May I, Rohan, respectfully, of course, after your permission. Sherry,
Wait.
No.
Egyptian.
Yeah,
He wants to be respectful of something. It's because you're here. No. He's not this nice when I'm here. I can tell you that.
Yeah, okay. Kick gloves sometimes. That's what it is.
And the 22 behind the ear works too. Good morning, Al.
Good morning. I don't know if you guys can hear me. We're without power for probably another week. So
Oh shit.
I am just running on hopefully cell service that carries me. But you asked why I'm not. You asked why we're not. So I'm going to give you an answer. I don't care for the founders, period. I just don't want to support it with my time and effort. That's it.
Okay, so it's a personal issue.
I didn't care for the rooms they ran before. It's not my cup of tea.
Right? Okay. So that's your prerogative. I mean, what's going to happen? Just out of curiosity, what do you think is going to happen to this platform, in the future? Where do you see it going?
I don't know.
I can control that.
Sorry?
I think she says she can't control that.
No, exactly. And look, I mean, that's part of part of the reason why I'm sort of looking at look at options. That's pretty much it. Anyway, Jay, what's going on?
So Rohan, what's up, man? Good morning, Kaylin, Kelly, Dr. Allen's just sleeping. Good morning, everybody. Man, did you see that? I know I spoke about it last night. I can't get over it. It triggers my PTSD. In the Olympics, that male boxer beating up that woman from Italy. Did you see that, Rohan? Kelly, it's a man. I don't care if you yell at me.
No, I wasn't gonna yell at you, I was just gonna say, I mean, for all intents and purposes for why this person should not be competing, you know, they are a man, I just wanted to clarify it, like, because people keep, it is an intersex person, but it doesn't matter because their chromosomal abnormality, like this disorder that they have, basically makes it so that they produce testosterone like a man, which means that they wind up with the physical attributes of a man and the strength of a man, which is why they aren't meant to be competing.
Because they're a fucking man!
It's a huge, dangerous mistake that they made, allowing this person.
Yeah, and this person's going to continue to compete. And I'm sorry, that's to me is not the spirit of the Olympics.
So what do you think should happen with such a person? How are they supposed to compete if they want to compete? Or like, what is the rules? Because I don't think there are rules for this case.
Daniel, I don't know what's happening to your audio, but it sounds like you are like 15 meters away from your microphone. Maybe there's something you can do. We can hear you, but it's just like, as Kelly was saying earlier, it's actually really.
I don't know, Danny. First off, good morning. I hope you're safe, your family as well. I'll repeat what I've been saying. And I have no problem if somebody wants to be trans. Be trans or whatever Kelly was saying, he's a he, she, I don't know what that means.
It's just to be clear, this person was raised as a female, and listen, I don't know that there's been confirmation on this, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me that they have like female physical characteristics, like under the hood. This is literally an intersex disorder, but it doesn't mean that this person is bad or did anything wrong, but like for the characteristics that they have based on this disorder, it should have disqualified them because it makes this person dangerous.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Kelly. That's exactly what it is. It's like being on steroids.
Good morning, Last Dragon.
What's up? How you doing? Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's why I came up. But Kelly just said it, you know. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's not a matter of judging this person as an individual. I mean, it's a matter of like fair play and the rules. And there, obviously, you see what happened, and there was a reason this person. Right.
Why remove him?
Oh,
He's about to contribute an incredible amount of knowledge into the fucking room. I hate it when people do this.
I mean, this guy's from Algeria. I don't think it makes sense that she's trans.
No, that's what I just said, Daniel. She's not trans.
Yeah, exactly. No. I was answering to Jay. Like saying that like a Muslim country like Algeria will send a trans is not realistic. Yes, it's an abnormality, and I don't think that there are rules for this kind of situation. I just think that many people are kind of using this to use it against the trans community. And I don't think that she's I don't think it's the right thing to do in that case specifically. If there would be an actual trans, I would agree with you that it's completely unfair. But if you want to resolve this, we need to make
Daniel, there are rules. There are rules. There was something, I don't know exactly what happened, but there are rules around this. This person has been kept out of competing against women multiple times. There was some kind of change made. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, if people are trans women who are biologically men, have tried to force their way into being able to compete in these same ways. So I don't think, listen, I think your average trans person who's not an athlete is not interested in this kind of drama. But I mean, the matter of fact is that this is a dangerous person to have competing in fights with women. I mean, it's just the truth. It doesn't mean that this person's bad. And you're right, people shouldn't attack anybody over this surface.
So Daniel, let me ask you a question. And I'm not disagreeing with you. My eyes work, right? My ears work, thank God. This picture on the Jumbotron, is that a man or a woman? You tell me, Daniel.
Oh, I've
So-
seen, dude, I've seen men that look like women, and they could even fool you, Jay. The way the person looks doesn't mean what their gender is. And I had to say, like, yes, she looks like manly, but I will
That's
show you.
because she has XY chromosomes. The XY chromosome and high testosterone.
Yes, I'm just
What
saying.
Kelly's point was is not that she's trans. That wasn't the point. The point is life is unfair, and yes, this is an unfair thing for this person, but it makes it dangerous for these women, literally dangerous. And so, like, for all of the things that men get from the XY chromosome to the high testosterone, that is something that makes it unfair to these women and unsafe. Period. It's not a trans issue. It is not a, and I know there are a lot of people confusing it because it looks to be that situation. But even outside of that, the reality is this is an unsafe situation for the women that she is competing with.
Yeah, what she said.
Daniel, I think you're right to point out though that people shouldn't take this out on the trans community. I mean, I'll be honest, like, I see Twitter, I know what people are saying. People are either intentionally confused or intentionally confusing the situation of being cruel, or they're genuinely confused about what's happening, whatever, all that's true. And as I said, I don't think that any average trans person is interested in any of this, even outside of sports. Like, I'm gonna say something controversial here, but like, I think a lot of progressive white women get behind these social justice causes. And I think that in the case of the trans community, they've done them a huge disservice because they have made this a topic that people are either like really exercised over because they're scared or because they're assholes. It doesn't matter. I don't think that this is a matter of trans people having done anything. I do blame trans women who try to put themselves into sports and dangerous situations. And I think that there should be criticism there. But I agree with you that this is not a matter of the trans community having done anything to this individual who was badly injured by this person. I think the Olympic committee that allowed this person to compete made a huge fucking.
You're totally right. I was thinking that if you're talking about the trans community, like, it will not solve for this happening again. So if the solution would be to do some checks on chromosome or whatever, that should be the result. Not to say, okay, we should ban trans people, which is true, like, not ban. Maybe you need to do like another, like, you have female, you have male, maybe you need to have another one, a third one for trans, like you have the Special Olympics or whatever. I'm just saying that focusing on trans is kind of missing the point of this case. That is my point. This is like a different case, and boundary counter trans doesn't solve this from happening again.
No, I agree, but Daniel, if you remember the way that this conversation happened, I immediately and specifically removed it from the trans conversation. You're the one that brought it back. I get why you did. I just want to make that clear though for what happened in this. It's not a great situation for any of the people involved in this. It's not.
Well, you go ahead.
It nearly killed me day one.
Kelly, I didn't disagree with anything you said, and I don't think it's controversial. I think you're 100% right. The cameras created this. Good morning, El Normo.
I'll never forget the Croatian war.
Hey, good morning.
Tomislav Kasumovic, who nearly
You're
killed me.
here. I must be doing something right.
You are.
No, Naomi, let me ask you a question. You think Israel opens up a second front?
Yeah, they're sort of ramping up Gaza. Israel's certainly signaling that we're ready to face Hezbollah. You know, there's about 100,000 Israelis displaced from the north, and that's not sustainable. So Hezbollah's either going to stop shooting the rockets, or Israel's going to have to stop them. I don't see what the choice is, to be honest.
What does the second front look like? Do they go into Lebanon?
Well, it doesn't seem as though an air campaign would be sufficient. That's where Israel holds the superiority. I don't know at which point they have to do a ground invasion. They're certainly giving the guys from Gaza a rest, and they're prepared for that possibility. Nobody's looking forward to that because it's going to be a lot of loss of life. God forbid.
But if they go into, if they have to go into Lebanon, is that going to trigger Iran to get directly involved?
If Iran gets directly involved, then like Hamas, they realize that this is the end of the road. I believe the reason why this happened with Hamas was because Hamas realized there's very little further purpose for them in Gaza as the Abraham Accords approach. I think the Abraham Accords are the trigger for all of this. Iran and its proxies realizing that once that deal is completed and spreads, they're defeated. Iran is defeated because they're going to be overwhelmed by the unity of the region and the world against their terror, against Iranian terror.
Well, no, I've been calling for the longest time. Deal with Iran, and you then you can start having the conversation about having some kind of peace in the Middle East. But dealing with Iran, I don't know what that looks like. Is that regime change? What does that look like? I mean, listen, what Israel did to kill the Hamas leader, that bomb was in that room for a couple of months. But they got
right?
Unbelievable. But they have the capability of taking out that regime. Is that what it's going to take?
I think that is the message, that Iran either calms down and cools its jets, or the leaders are going to be making trips to heaven.
Well, at least
that was the message.
But at least they'll get their virgins.
Yes, of whatever gender they prefer. And then we're going to see how brave they are if this is what they want. I mean, it's funny that this happens at precisely this time, because I've been reading a tremendous book by Ronan Bergen called Rise Up and Kill First, which is, actually I've been listening to it on Audible, and that is the Torah admonition that if somebody is pointing a gun at you, it is your obligation to rise up and prevent them from pulling the trigger. And Israel's willing to do that. And the quality of the intelligence is just shockingly good. And I think now, there's like a Mexican standoff. Do these mullahs want to die for their cause, instead of just sending, these poor individuals, whether it's the Palestinians or the Hezbollah militias, rather than sending them to their death? Now they have an existential question to answer. Are they willing to die over this? And I have a feeling that answer may be a little different,
Absolutely. Let me say good morning to again.
You know what's interesting? People say that we could reduce wars instead of having the people fight the wars. Why don't we have the leaders fight them? It might be a very different scenario. Let's have Biden in a punch out with Ishmael Haniyeh. then the two of them, they might say, well, let's play chess or something instead of killing each other.
Speaking of Biden, Normo, I just read that Kamala Harris, however you people want to pronounce her name, has raised $310 million just in July. $310 million, Norm. So, no shot. Man, listen, politics is all about the money. Follow the money, and she has every shot.
I mean, you have to remember a lot of that is money that was
Bananas.
pulled from Biden and then just given right back to her. So she has raised a lot of money, but the numbers are somewhat skewed because of that.
Well,
I'm
Kelly,
honest about it. And I'm not saying that you're not being. I'm just saying that it's.
I want to ask you a question, Kelly. Do you honestly think she has a good chance or a fair chance?
I mean, I think God, either of them do at this point. It's a matter of what happens moving forward. I mean, she did a really poor job. Like she's not great at maintaining momentum because she's messageless generally. Like you can look back at her primary campaign, it kind of fell flat. Now if she can change that, I think she does. But if she can get rid of her weird laugh and her atrocious public speaking issues, which seems like she has to some degree, but she's still clowning herself on occasion. If she can work on that, I think she has an even better chance. But like she's to some degree, she's a known quantity, but what's known isn't really liked. But she also is unknown in many ways. So I think that her chance is a matter of what she does with that unknown part of who she is.
Hey, listen, thank you. You've given us basically to know that there's just certain things that just really fuck me up. And one of the things that fuck me up is when people bring up she's not black. Man, that's bullshit. Who cares what she is? Who cares if she's purple with pink polka dots? Why do we as a country focus on such bullshit? It just blows my mind.
I agree with you, Jay. Honestly, though, I think a lot of times the reason people bring that up is because she is so focused on it, and so I think people point out the inconsistency of her identity campaigns and how her identity politics. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, I don't think she's doing a great job. How do I put this? I don't think that she is being herself, and I think that that's always been the biggest problem with her. I think it was her problem with her primary. I don't know. It's like she's trying to accommodate I don't want to say an identity because it's too on the nose, but she's trying to be a thing. And I think if she would just be Kamala, whoever the fuck that is, she would come across in a much more natural way. So I think that alone brings like her awkwardness, like I don't know, in an interesting way brings her identity to question because she doesn't seem to be comfortable in whatever and she's wearing. And then if you look through her political history, she has leaned in so hard to both sides, but not really at the same time. And so it seems a matter of convenience. And I think a lot of people feel the same way you do, that the identity piece of it isn't so important, but she prioritizes it and puts it like up in the very front often. And so I think that's the point that they're making. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it should matter, but I don't know, when people seem to want to get credit for their identity, but then turn around and say it doesn't matter, at least it's sour taste in some people.
Well, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think it was a great share. In my opinion, I think all politicians are chameleons, right? Whichever way the wind blows, that's who they're gonna be. If they have a chance to win, they're gonna be that. And I think that's what resonates with the trumpets, with the Trump supporters. He doesn't. Who you see is who he is. What he says is what he believes. I think that's why the trumpets love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they'll tell you that. Yeah.
What's up, Samra? Oh, he's back on the phone. So, no, I'm not gonna mod you because you swiped out, and then maybe you will mod it. Just let everybody get in when we get on the conversation that everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And Norm, as often as you're on this app, haven't you learned not to swipe out by now?
It's sort of the way you grab the phone sometimes. It just happens, you know?
Pro tip, when you swipe out, just close the app. Don't swipe back and you won't lose any, like you won't lose, if you're a mod, you won't lose being on the stage. Just close the app immediately instead of swiping anywhere else.
Okay, I'll try that. Even if it takes me to another room, which is what happens?
Yep, as long as you don't try to come backwards. Just immediately shut the app.
Okay.
So Normie, I hear that Miss Harris is gonna announce her VP pick over the weekend, and they're gonna start campaigning next week together, whoever that might be. Who do you think she's gonna take?
Well, I heard Mark Kelly make a very impassioned pitch for her last night. That's the astronaut in Arizona. And she needs Arizona badly. And I think she might get clobbered in Arizona anyway. So it's between these two swing states, Arizona and Pennsylvania, which has more electoral votes, and the governor is Jewish. So she might pick
She can't pick a Jew, Norm.
She can.
She can, and then she's gonna walk into the lines then because America's not ready for a minority woman and a Jew on the same thing.
And remember, she's married to a Jewish guy. So she's got Jewish stepkids.
Who denounced the Judaism.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the father didn't, but the kid did. You're right. I guess they're half Jewish in a sense. Paternal, patriot. Anyway, it's kind of silly. That's correct. And I wonder what Josh Shapiro will do. Well, Josh, Blinken is Jewish, and he might take the Democratic kumbaya, two-state solution, let's make peace position while supporting Israel's right to defend itself. That's a fallback position. That's kind of the Biden administration's position. It's certainly not.
You know what surprised me, Norm? Was that Putin released these prisoners, hostages, and he didn't wait to see how the election played out. Because you would think he'd want to do a favor for his buddy Trump and have them released under his president.
I wonder if someday we'll get a book, Trump and Putin, and what was going on that stage in Helsinki when Trump was acting so oddly and refusing to confront Putin in person. You know what I'm referring to?
No, but please tell me.
So, I don't know, about 2 years into the presidency or less, there was a summit in Helsinki. Trump was on stage with Putin. So there's video of it. And he was weirdly catatonic. He was uncharacteristic. And it seemed as if Putin had something on him. And I don't know what it was. Whether it was, some investments or some compromise, some blackmail. I just don't know. But Trump was like catatonic. And everybody said, even people who were inclined to attempt to be objective about this said he behaved oddly on the stage. Most people who were in business, I would say, favored Trump in 2016 because they knew he'd cut taxes. It's funny, sometimes it just comes down to, will their policies favor my business? And I guess from their perspective, that's a legitimate position. So anybody who wanted taxes reduced and increased belligerence militarily, internationally, they liked Trump. Even if they, didn't trust him or didn't think that he was reliable. That was 2016. 2020, you didn't really hear from people because we had 4 years of madness. And now in 2024, people, I think, are not being very vocal, at least in my circles. I'm more in the media, Jewish circles. I'm not so much in the Midwest or Southern. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, and let me say good morning, Andre.
Hey, good morning.
I'm doing well, thank you. So
Hey.
Norm,
Hi,
Trump has come out and said that he will end the Ukrainian war in 48 hours. Is he just talking bullshit like usual? What do you think he had?
Well, that might be the deal that he and Putin are holding in their back pocket. I don't know. The same way, Richard Nixon delayed the end of the Vietnam War so that he could defeat the Democratic candidate. It might have been 72, if I'm not mistaken. Kissinger literally made a deal to not end the war until Nixon was elected, and it worked. And Reagan did the same thing, as far as I know, in '79 with the hostages in Iran. We had like a year and a half of hostage crisis, quote unquote. That was.
Let me. I want to ask Andre a question, if that's okay.
He knows about this stuff.
Andre, how does this Ukrainian war end? How do you see it ending?
I mean, how I would like it to end, or I mean.
No, and let's be realistic. But how do you see it ending? I see it ending where Russia keeps all the land they took so far, and they move on.
I mean, I don't think that will be acceptable. I don't think they will stop. I mean, they might be okay with losing Crimea, but not the eastern portions of Ukraine. I mean, if we're talking about like being pragmatic about it and stuff. But yeah.
Hello, Mazel Tov, Adoni.
What's up, Adele?
What's up, Jay? By the way, I do not need to link my Clubhouse account because I think I played too long.
Oh, yeah, how so? Well, by the way, Adele, you won't be the first or last person to prove Viva.
When I told you that Elon Musk did not donate any 45 million to Donald Trump, and he made this bullshit news that says that he promotes or he promises to give. That's not the same thing. To give me 45 and to promise me to give me 45 million is not the same.
Okay, thank you for that lesson. But what I had said was he made a vow for 45 million for 4 months. Now, if he backed out of that vow, that's on him.
Absolutely not, my friend. I told you he did not give Donald Trump 45 million each month, as he was told that he's giving money. And you said, I will prove you wrong, and you have put here link that actually proves you wrong. Or whatever, just wanted to say that. Thanks. And congratulations to all the Jews in the world for the killing of this fucking Osama, Ismail, and Yeshua. I was really happy. I saw him in my childhood when I was 14, 15. I saw this piece of shit. I listened to him in the mosques. I saw him in protests. He even came to the building where I was lived to visit my neighborhood upstairs when the Israelis, they freed or they put free one of the prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, after he finished his sentence in the Israeli prison. The Ismail Haniya came to the place where I was living in Gaza. He came to the 6th floor. I live on the 4th floor. And I'm really happy that this guy is bye-bye, because this actually means that we might actually get somewhere. This war can actually stop someday. And that's how it's going to stop. And there's a big difference between this war stopping and just beginning again after 2 or 3 years maximum. But when this guy is done, when this guy is gone, I think this war can just be over soon.
And then when it's over, do you think Israel keeps troops in Gaza?
No, I think if it's over, then we should make sure that there's a very strong police force in Gaza, very strong intelligence, collaborating with the Israelis 24/7, and not allowing any Islamists to take power again in Gaza. So anyone who wants to play stupid, he goes to jail. He doesn't. Nobody should pay for someone's wish to die. So I think it should be a lesson. So I believe if there is anyone to blame, it's Israel to blame, because in 2008 when Israel began a war with Gaza, he did not finish Hamas. They also started the war in 2014, didn't finish Hamas. So why you wait so long for them to get this strong, and now you're suffering, losing? It's almost 9 months already, and you're still fighting Hamas. You can kill Ismail Haniyeh in the middle of Tahrir. I don't know how, but you cannot finish Hamas for 4 months in Gaza. It's disgusting. They are too strong, and if you want peace, you need to make sure that there is nothing called Hamas anymore, and Islamic Jihad and all of this bullshit. But you should also support the Palestinians to have a very self-government in Gaza. A government in Gaza that has collaboration with the Israelis. And we very strong police force.
Adele, I don't think it's a fair characterization of Israel like just not finishing Hamas as if those is their choice, because as you know, UN is putting a stop or blocks in a way every single turn, and so it's excessively difficult for Israel to actually get things done. They have to constantly worry about doing it, as well as the type of tactic that Hamas is, Hamas's strategy is in the region is that they're using civilians as shields. They mix within the civilian population, so it's extremely difficult to just take them out. And
I've never said it's easy. I never said so. But I would say it would have been way less difficult if Israel has gone to war fully, like to finish the job in 2008. It was a deadly war. It was a very ugly war in Gaza, 2008. Hamas did not have this much tunnels. Hamas did not have this much power, and they could have entered Gaza and fuck all of the Hamas. But I think Israel wanted Hamas to be there because they wanted Gaza to be separate from the West Bank, to have two separate governments. By the way, Hamas would never be this strong if Israel did not allow it. It was Israel who actually funded Hamas somehow. They have allowed millions of dollars to go inside Gaza. Okay, and Hamas always threatened Israel's existence. And I'm a Gazan. I was born and raised in Gaza. I'm telling you this. If there are victims, in Palestine, they are the Palestinians because of Hamas. I always blame Hamas.
no, I guess,
Disgusting.
and I've heard that hypothesis spoken before, because there's certain hearsay about Bibi mentioning something along the lines of the tactics of containment, where you pit one side against the other, but that was done outside of any kind of military operations. That was done when all the roadblocks and stops were put in the way of Israel of fixing this problem. And once again,
I'm
whenever Israel. No, I got you. No, but hold on, Adel. I haven't finished my sentence yet. Okay, I patiently waited for you to finish. So, I mean, although I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it's a very realistic way of framing what's happening. And to say that Israel is not doing all it can, especially in this turn of history, I think it's just flatly wrong. I think Israel is doing the best it can with the best type of precision that can be achieved by the modern technology, and the circumstances and how Hamas is carrying themselves in this conflict. I think that puts another level of strain on Israel's ability to resolve this problem once.
Okay, fine, but like I also want to tell you, I'm not a self-hater. Okay, I know the Palestinians, we are not self-haters. So Hamas are Palestinians, but I actually don't believe so. I don't believe Hamas are Palestinians. So I hate them, but I don't hate the fact they are fanatics. They don't care about the Palestinians. Do you think Hamas has any chance against the Israelis and against the West? I believe they don't have any chance. This is first of all. So they're gonna lose this war sooner or later. They're losers. They're losing this war. There's no chance they will survive. It's only Israel will decide if something called Hamas will still exist in Gaza or not. It's Israel who's gonna decide that. So I think if Israel decides to finish Hamas, it's a matter of time. I don't care. It's gonna take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I don't care. It's Israel who's gonna decide when Hamas is over. So this is first of all. Second of all, Hamas know this. The Hamas leaders, they know this shit. They know they cannot stand, and there is no way they can stand against Israel. There is no way. It's not only Israel. It's Israel and who's behind Israel. Okay? Especially the Arabs. I think the Arabs are supporting Israel, and they have proof it. Emirates, Jordan, all of these countries. So why they don't surrender and save all of these babies and these women and all of these people? Why they just don't say, okay, listen, we have made a mistake and we want to negotiate surrender, and we can just fucking leave. We can have 40,000 people leaving from Hamas, their leadership, their soldiers. They can fucking leave. They can go to Afghanistan or Iran or whatever shit they want to go, and leave the Palestinians. Who is resisting in Gaza are not Hamas. These are the Palestinians. They're getting killed every single day. If Hamas decides this war will be over, it's very easy. To free all of the prisoners they have, the Israelis they captured, they should free them all. Okay? And Israel should give something back. They should just leave. Israel has already accepted something similar in the past. When the PLO was way better than Hamas equipment, and it was in Lebanon. You can easily get funded, and you can easily get more soldiers, all of that. What happened is the PLO, after 3 months of war with the Israelis, they have decided to leave. The Israelis accepted that, and they have left. All of the soldiers of the PLO, they have left by the sea from Lebanon to somewhere else, and they have left Lebanon alone, and the war was over. Why the fuck Hamas is fighting for 9 months? What is their accomplishments? I wish I know what is that one they have done. A suicide bomb? That's a suicide bomb. Who's winning? You're the first one who's gonna die. They go, they capture, they kill, they injure, they burn, and then they escape. Why you fuck escape? Okay, and then they escape, and then they hide. They play hide and seek with the Israelis. And they dress in civilian clothes, and they fuck the Palestinians, and they attack the Israelis. So the Israelis actually, they dress civilian, and everybody over 14, 15 years old is a target. What the fuck? You can go and kill the Israelis, their babies, their children, you can rape their women, you can do whatever you want, and you expect the Israelis to say, okay, sorry, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna go back to Europe. Israel was a bad idea. Let me give you your land back. Okay, this is your land. Okay, sorry, here's your money, here's your land. Bye bye. It's not gonna happen. That's stupid. So what happened is that the Palestinians were captured, were held hostages by a fucking terrorist group. Hamas is nothing more, nothing less than a terrorist group.
And that's all that you're doing. And you're doing that because you have no other purpose in your life. You don't have any sense of what actually is important.
Well, he said, here's the part that is overwhelmingly screaming loud. Hold on. These people never open their own rooms.
That's
That
right.
is the loudest truth that we always see. They don't.
I've been in different rooms. I'm in loads of different rooms.
I'm not talking well, maybe you're one of them, maybe you're not one of them. Maybe.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. But my point is that maybe you are one of them, maybe you're not, but they never open their own rooms. They never want to have their own.
The group that I am referring to
Individuals who
is
I
kids that
said.
are loud and that are only speaking slogans.
Okay, but some, I could
Go on, Marie. No, it's not finished. It's not done.
I could argue that you're one.
And so what is it? They don't, because why? Because they don't have an audience.
No, they don't.
And
And they just come to troll and yell to other rooms and basically rape the rooms, they get into.
Yeah, I think fairness, okay, they're not all
Calazone.
saying. So, look, Aziz and I managed to be able to have a conversation. He was mostly respectful of the guidelines of dialogue. Yeah, and he was evasive at times, I think, especially when he found that there wasn't an avenue to be able to sort of escape some realities and truths that challenge some of his own values, and that's okay. I've got no issue with that. There's a degree of intellectual dishonesty, but there are other people that are just full of malicious lies and garbage that come about, and I think there's basically a scale.
Yeah, but I don't like people that just come to obfuscate in rooms, I mean, like, when you are able to have a conversation and break down your argument and tell us how is it that you came to that conclusion, I don't care on what side you are. Like, we can have a conversation, we can talk to each other, but when you have these type of people that come to the room, they throw, for example, like MK did, oh, what about the dog? And so we are trying to be honest and engaged in the conversation with the dog because we assume, okay, he wants to know about the dog. And as soon as we start trying to speak about the dog, he's like, oh, but what about the women and the children? So it's just try to throw a lot of statements all at once to try to obfuscate the conversation. And then there is this constant interruption, there is no a real conversation, it's no dialogue. The interaction, it just gets very annoying. And I'm done with that. Like, whenever I find people that act like that, I don't know, I'm going to start throwing them out. I don't like them.
Well, one thing I will say, obviously, me and Rohan had a conversation earlier, it was like an hour long. We didn't interrupt each other. We were very, very respectful, even though we strongly disagree with each other. I'm not going to lie, so you're quite, critical of other people, but I don't feel like the way you do things is exactly fair, I've been in a room with you before. You're probably going to try and cut me off right now, to be fair. I've been here before, but you weren't fair to me, I'll be honest. You weren't fair to me.
How was I not fair to you?
Because, like, I didn't, not once did I speak over a person, or I was going,
You must have felt something as if.
So this is what I did. So, and I do this when I'm speaking to people to let them know that I'm listening. I say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Right.
and I told you,
But
I told you when you're listening, I want you on mute.
Right.
I don't want because it's distracting. Like, right,
Right, but-
okay.
But me and the person had a genuine flowing dialogue. Like it wasn't interrupted. The person and me were actually flowing back and forth. It was very genuine, right? We even cut each other off in an appropriate way, to the point where it didn't need to be managed or controlled, right? But I felt like the way you did that was not right. That was not appropriate. And then you doubled
Well, I
down.
asked you for something and you kept doing it, and yeah, I got on.
Right. So but it was a bit of an emotional response. I don't like.
She's a woman.
Yeah, I'm a woman. So what?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, last thing I swear.
That's a good enough answer, I think. But like I said, sometimes we're having logical debates, and I'm hearing stuff that I genuinely, strongly, emotionally even disagree with, but I refuse to allow myself to get emotional.
That's
That will
trying
undermine
to
my point.
obfuscate the conversation just I am saying right now. You started every single argument by saying, well, I am not someone that gets emotionally charged. And then when you were having people talking to you, were like, and that is also a tactic to distract the person that is making an argument to you. And that is what I told you, because when I was speaking and you were doing that, it was very distracting to me. Daniel also told you the same thing. And then I asked you to be on mute when people were talking to you, and you kept doing it. So exactly, just like you're doing right now. So
no, but that's me
yeah.
listening. That's
No, I don't care. You don't need to.
Right.
I'm telling you, distract the person that's talking.
But like I find that, no offense, I find you quite annoying, but I don't have to voice that.
Okay, then don't come to my rooms.
Right, no, but obviously I come here for a conversation, not for a big friend, you know?
That was hysterical what you just did there, Aziz, honestly.
Right. The thing is, it's like, I come here for conversation, not to, these aren't my pen pals and friends, like I'm not, I don't really care about, other than the words we say, I'm not trying to, grow some kind of relationship with you.
Neither is anyone here with you. At least I'm not trying to do that with you.
But I don't allow my emotions to enter the conversation, and I feel like, especially, it even undermined what you had to say, to be fair, because I was like, oh, so this guy is kind of going to have consistent emotional reactions, so how can I have a logical conversation with this person? Rohan, on the other hand, he never had an emotional reaction. Even though we had strongly disagreeable points, he kind of gave me that respect, and I gave him that
And
back.
Rohan is Rohan, and I will never be like Rohan.
Amen.
Well, we can
Yeah,
always aspire to be better.
she's saving up to be, okay.
Yeah, we can aspire to be better, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't consider Rohan to be better, so I don't think why should I become like Rohan.
Look, it's not my fault I'm born with a penis, yes sir.
I think,
And listen, it is very easy. When you feel uncomfortable in a place and you feel like your feelings are being hurt, by all means, I advise you to protect yourself and avoid to be hurt. So if you find me annoying and you find like I really hurt you in any way, please stop coming to my rooms.
No, I think,
and be safe.
No, you gotta remember, with me, obviously, the difference between me and you is I don't let, I mentioned I found your name, but I don't let that overthrow my overarching point,
Good, then suck it up. Because as long as it's my room and you're in my space, I will rule it as I wish.
Yeah, I only told you you were annoying to prove a point. Like, I wouldn't have said that if I wasn't.
And I'm not getting offended by that, by the way. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't have the need to be liked by everyone.
Well, that wasn't my intention, but what I will say is just in future, because unfairness is like, like I said, if you cut off a man's tongue, it kind of means you're afraid of what he has to say. And I said that before. The truth.
Oh, trust me, I am not afraid.
Oh my gosh, it's still going on. The competition is still going on.
Bang, we're going to pause it right there. Okay. I think it's really interesting. Okay, and maybe that's a point of conversation in itself. Okay, cutting off a person's tongue. Well, yeah, okay. I can get you somebody if you need somebody. Marvin, I care about you. Your feelings are paramount.
Coffee.
He's got lovely hair. Can everybody put like a 1 in the chat if you like Marvin?
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today, okay?
Put a 1 in the chat. Okay, you put a 1 in the chat if you like Marvin's hair. Come on, let's put a 1 in the chat. Let's go, come on.
Yeah, Marvin's a good looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy. Put him on the chat. Okay. Marvin's looking at it at the moment, and he's getting hurt. Okay. All right, Simon gave him a 1. Yay. Good. Everybody's...
You're making me laugh too hard. Stop it. Oh, my fingers.
You gotta boost the kings.
Yeah, look, I mean, cutting off a person's tongue. So we're talking about freedom of speech, and when it's appropriate to be able to stop a person, or not. And like I think we've got different ideas and different opinions about this. But Aziz, are you an absolute freedom? Yeah, are you for absolute freedom of speech, Aziz, or not?
Yeah, as long as you're not insulting someone. As long as you're making a banner.
As long as you don't say Mohammed is a pedophile, then
or
it's
cutting
all
someone off as well. That's a big one as well. Cutting someone off is a big one. As long as you don't cut someone off, while they're literally answering a question that you asked for.
Okay, I've got a question. Okay, in which case...
I'm tired of your whining, dude. You do it once in a
come
while,
on.
and get out. No. It's, again, I'm not gonna deal with this kind of shit, and I am not gonna have here a so-called man whining and bitching in a room and playing the victim. I'm not. If he is not tough enough to be here, he can leave. I'm great. Great. He left. It's amazing.
This question is man.
Sorry, my bad. I'm back.
Oh, I thought that you ran away like a
No, okay. Let me ask a question. If you believe in that, okay, Aziz, cutting a man's time off, let's talk about, I don't know, if a person does a caricature of Muhammad, is that okay?
So you asked me, when I first answered the question, I said as long as it's not an insult. That is an insult. A caricature is an insult. So that answers
Who defines what is an insult? Because
Correct.
you call me annoying, that I would take that as an insult and I could kick you out of my room, right?
Maybe you could calm the fuck down. I'm actually sick of
So you know what it was? The only reason I told you I found you annoying was to stress the point that...
No, listen, I don't care if you find it annoying. All I'm saying is, who defines what is an insult?
Why are you guys giving this a platform?
Everybody say goodbye to Aziz.
Thank you. Jeez. We have like a normal discussion about something?
I
Like something's
genuinely
therapy session?
wanted him to get back to basically him saying you asked us to condemn, but then
And everybody say goodbye to Sim as well.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, I thought she already left.
Who is next?
This is Nova. So I'm just wondering, what is the issue with people being so afraid of other people's opinions when having a conversation when it comes down to freedom of speech?
Who's afraid of the opinions?
Well, it seems like there's a bunch of people, especially on this app. I see it all the time within social media,
I don't mind other people's opinions.
A lot of people.
Rohan minds other people's opinions.
No, I don't think it's about opinions. I think it's
Rohan does mind other people's opinions. That's why he's a comic.
I hate rooms where everyone agrees with each other.
I disagree.
You
I
don't have to
disagree, man.
necessarily agree to each other. You know what I'm saying? But you can have a dialogue. That's the whole point of having a conversation. But then you get some who, I have a mom dad, and I'm just going to silence you because I'm scared of what you may have to say because it may sway the audience to a different narrative because I'm really scared deep down inside so I have to dictate the situation. I mean, that's literally how it happens.
I am a freedom of speech absolutist. I am not afraid of words. Yes, I am. Now, having freedom of speech doesn't mean that I am under the obligation to hear what you got to say. So, for example, if I hold a dinner in my house and you come and start calling my mom stupid, maybe I will not allow that to happen and you will not be allowed to be in my house, right?
That's your house, though.
So, yeah, correct. But you can go.
What's she cooking?
Hold on, but you can go to your house and call my mom stupid if you want. That's
Does she
fine.
make schnitzel?
I got Rohan.
Just asking, Rohan.
Rohan, stop using your freedom of speech.
That's right.
Okay, now that I got rid of it, okay, let's have a proper conversation. Look, I mean...
The big news nothing is gonna come for you, my friend.
No, for what it's worth, like I had a conversation, I was having a conversation for the last 6 hours on Israel and Palestine, Gaza and Iran and stuff like that, and people were able to engage respectfully, you know. So it is possible, but it really depends on the people who are part of the conversation.
It's just more the exception, not the rule.
Like people like Simon and Marvin would be able to do exactly the same thing. It just depends on the people who are turning up for the conversation. If they're able to keep their heads about them, be open, and just maybe adhere to some very basic guidelines, it's certainly possible.
Totally agree.
I disagree.
Well, to be honest with you, I try to keep my views in reference to the topic you were speaking on about to myself, because not everybody's kumbaya, and I get it, but I just don't like the concept of war because it involves a lot of innocent men, women, and children, and I feel like war has been such a big plague on this planet for decades, and there's a lot of innocent people involved that cannot defend themselves, and I just can't stand it, and that's just my humanitarian side. I know that there's different portions and reasons why people do engage or go to war, but I just think it's unfair to the people, the men, women, and children of all nationalities, if you ask me. But that's just me, so that's why I don't usually prefer to engage in those conversations, because I can't stand them. Not the conversation itself, I can't stand the concept of war or being unfairly done and caught in the crossfire. It bothers me.
I would agree, and it's a shame that there are. Look at shame. It's ugly. It's painful to see. And even needs to be people with when acts. And when it comes from we're seeing such wokeism that's placed aside these days, it actually dampens our abilities to be able to act effectively and instrumentally. And I'm not saying that's where you're coming from, right? But this sentiment that is pervasive, right, at the moment through this woke leftist ideologies, is just actually making us weaker and making this world even more dangerous than ever. And for what it's worth, whether it's Israel needing to be able to go and get rid of Hamas as best as possible or not, or whether it's Ukraine doing what they need to be able to do to protect their borders, we've just got to respect that that's what needs to be done. When a person's sovereignty, when a country's sovereignty is being attacked, they've got a responsibility to be able to defend themselves just as anybody else is. If somebody's if you're walking in the street, somebody punches you, you know what? You're not just going to walk away and say, that wasn't very nice. You got to deal with it.
It's an understandable perspective to take, but it's also quite condescending, because you're saying that from a nation with a vast array of abundant excess resources, that's a net exporter of a ton of the basic necessities to live, that happens to have the most advanced, craziest security blanket ever devised by man that we know of, that has the strength and the ability to get what it wants from other countries without having to bomb them, and when it does have to bomb them, is very free and loose with the bombs. So
who are you referring to? Who are you referring to?
America.
Okay. Yep.
So to have this perspective, war is horrible, why don't we just not fight? Keep in mind that you're saying that from a position where most of the people around you have enough to eat, and they have some social mobility and some hope, and they have things to do, and their idle hands are occupied and distracted by entertainment and work and all kinds of things that Americans fill their lives with. These people in these situations are not coming from the same place, and then deciding let's just do war, they're in a significantly different circumstance. And you should recognize that before you just present the notion of how about you guys just not shoot each other in the face.
Well, that's understandable, from a standpoint. I definitely get what you're saying. And in some form, I actually agree. However, America is not just the only nation or country that has had war. Since the dawn of civilization, there has been war in tribalism countries. So technically, at the end of the day, you have to look at your leadership. Every nation has to look at leadership because every leadership runs their country in a different way, right? And most of those leaderships have had histories of war. So that's an actual fact. Mankind has known war since the dawn of time. So if it's almost like if you're gonna blame one, and point the finger, you take accountability and blaming all for certain aspects of different things. It's only fair to, look at it across the board since the dawn of time. This is a humankind
When you look at it historically, war seems to be much more geographical than it is a leadership or a function of leadership. There are three main areas that have had a vastly outsized amount of warfare since we've been recording history. And the reasons for that are geographical. They form language barriers. They form a divide between the people on one side and the people on the other side of an area based on these conflicts. But these hot zones have been hot and remain hot as a function of their geography.
Well, no, I'm going to push back on that, man. Don't like that. I think.
And policy is going to have a hard time. Policy is going to have a hard time overcoming the structure of these places, like Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia or the Middle East.
So, can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, we can.
Look, the idea of that geographies are the reason why wars exist, then that's not an understanding of war, right? So what you're saying is that wars tend to happen where geographies have an influence, but wars don't happen because of geographies.
Oh, I'm getting a bad connection. I lost. Can you get?
No. So it's the Department of Insurance. Like if we determine that as fraud, if I determine that as a fraud claim, I basically submit it to the Department of Insurance, and then it goes on your record, like your permanent record. So if somebody pulls up claims, if you have another claim, if somebody pulls it up, they'll look through your history and they'll see that you had a fraud claim in the past.
That sucks. I hate to have any type of record on me. But I was going to tell you records are public, so anyone can really look through it.
So then when we drop you from the insurance company I work for, when you try to go get insurance with another insurance company, if they do take you on, which is rare, your premiums will be out the ass. You're an insurance risk.
So let's say I get into a car because of the weather. Could you determine that's a fraud? How do you determine that's a fraud or not?
What type of claim?
Let's say I got into a car accident and let's say I was teaching my younger kid to drive. They crashed the car and they say, oh, it was the weather because it was bad or something. How would you determine that was a fraudulent claim?
Well, that wouldn't fall under the category of fraud. You're teaching your kid how to drive. They crash the car, regardless of the weather, you're still at fault because you didn't maintain control of the vehicle.
So you wouldn't cover it?
No, you'd be covered. You would just have an at-fault accident. But there's instances where they wouldn't cover you. Does your kid have a license?
Yes.
Do they have a permit?
You didn't sign our license up front, so.
Yeah, are they on your policy?
No, they're just learning to drive.
Yeah, then they may not be able to get covered. I know here in the United States, most insurance companies, or just most states, in order for a kid to get a permit or a license, they gotta be covered by their parents' insurance or have their own policy.
And I say like when you're a new driver, your insurance is very high. I see like no people who can put you on under their coverage. Is that
That's not true. So insurance doesn't really cover the person; it covers the car. You're just on the policy as a permitted user of the vehicle, or vehicles that are on the policy is how it works.
Do you work from home?
Sometimes I do stuff in person. Right now I'm not at home. I'm actually at
In the office?
no, I'm at a salvage yard, like where wrecked cars go. So we have a contract with this big auction place, and they hold our vehicles for us, so we can come out here and look at the cars.
I don't know you, but I like you.
I appreciate it. So the car I'm looking at right now, I gotta come out here and I gotta do measurements to see if it like matches up with what's being claimed.
If I were a person, I'd be giving you 30 bucks.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
What up, guys?
Good morning, everyone. This is Poet. I'd like to make morning greetings to you all and the president of Clown House, Mr. Oscar, and his assistant, Lil Haiti. This is Poet. No, this isn't a troll. What are you talking about? No, but I do agree with you. I like the speaker. Was it Mario talking about the vehicles? His insurance job? It just sounded interesting. You don't know who I am, Uncle, and I don't know who you are. We've never met. I definitely do not know who you are, and if you keep playing this game, I'll just leave the room because I don't want to have a conversation with you. I'm here to talk to Mr. Oscar, the president of Clowntown.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh, you left?
Well, hey, Mario, so wait, you work for a car insurance corporation? Like, I don't understand. What's your job title and what's the name of the business, or I guess what's a made up name of the business, or I guess can you explain your situation because it sounded so interesting. I agree with Hazad. I want to be your friend. I like you. God, I meant like so you don't dox yourself. You know, I thought my credit card got swiped the other day because I started seeing charges on it from a gym that I don't go to. And it turns out that gym bought my gym and they took over the monthly billing. I was like, holy shit. And I called Amex to file a fraud claim because I kept getting charges from this gym. And it turns out, it wasn't fraud, and I ended up canceling my card, and I lost my cards. I caused all kinds of problems because they didn't inform their fucking customers. Can you hear me? Because this phone is really shitty. It looks like it's coming through.
Except for when you're wrong.
Well, there you go.
And everybody, if you like Marvin's hair, please put a 1 in the chat. Just put a 1 in the chat. Show a bit of love. He's just had a haircut.
What number should we put if we don't like it?
Put a 2 in the chat if you don't like
That
it.
number doesn't exist, is the correct answer.
No, the number is you leave quietly, that's the number.
Wow. Pretty rough.
That's a lot of freedom of speech right there.
That's true. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome the beautiful Issa back. She's a little bit one-eyed about things sometimes, but we can look.
Amazing.
So it was something mentioned about woke, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
And yes, sir, you did. And I wanted to know the difference between a woke person that is considered a liberal, right? And a woke person who does not identify with either one of those things. And what, defines them as being considered woke. Because honestly, I've been hearing that word a lot, and I feel like it can be detrimental to any one person's stance. And how I figure it is because when I heard it first on this app, people were saying woke is bad, woke is liberal, woke is this, that, and the other. And this is, I don't consider myself a liberal or anything of that nature, but to be woke is to be aware, right?
Well,
because you're surrounded.
Hang on.
Welcome
Ask her to respond directly to, because she's referring to something I said. I'll respond directly, and then maybe other people can give their response of what they think woke is. No, great question. I think it's really good to be able to look at maybe the etymology of it. As I understand it, it's word and terminology that comes from elements of Black America. As being, hey, become aware, understand, have a look around, take it in, and it's about awareness. It was about awareness, and there has been an appropriation of that that has been repurposed in a way that I was using it, right, to be able to highlight the ignorance of, as an example, far left kids at university who are walking around with slogans, walking around with flags and calling out slogans without even understanding what the fuck they're saying. Okay, they are pretending, right, to know something about, something that they really have no idea about. And they're just, literally, they are sheeple. They are people who are regurgitating information without any type of critical thinking. And that, to me, is just, that's a woke person. That's just really lame. they're virtue, they're essential. A lot of them are. And most of
Social
them are
media
virtuous
virtue
anymore.
signalers.
They need to be
It's
seen
called
as,
engagement
doing
farming
the right
there.
thing and getting some social clout as a result of that. And that's how I'd probably characterize it.
Hey everybody, welcome to How to Do Engagement Farming. This is Poet. Engagement farming is a newer term that I've never heard before and really didn't understand. But this morning I kind of got a better understanding of what engagement farming is, so I want to discuss what engagement farming is, how to do engagement farming. Hi 5K, welcome to my podcast. I'm discussing how to do engagement farming. This room is essentially an engagement farm. I'm doing it as we speak live. We'll see if anybody wants to come to the subscribe podcast. This is Poet. Thanks for being here.
So she's on the way or whatever. Would you accept that? This is kind of something I think is really important. So thank you very much, and thank you for the feedback. And any feedback that you may have on what I'm doing would be most welcome. Great. Thank you. And thank you very much. If you all have enjoyed this show and would like to see more shows like it, please do follow me. I'm always here. I think I'm going to start a space just after this one, which I call the information space, where we practically discuss anything. It's a daily show. It's running a bit late because the space is very long. But yeah, do join me for that. I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, John Spencer, for giving us the time, and this much time especially. So, awesome stuff. Have a good day. Seek to accept validation from people who are experts. Young boys who don't know each other, killing each other on behalf of old men that do know each other. Seek to accept validation from people who are experts in the niches of which you speak, right? This is kind of something I think is really important. So thank you very much, and thank you for the feedback. And any feedback that you may have on what I'm doing would be most welcome. Great. Thank you. And thank you very much. If you all have enjoyed this show and would like to see more shows like it, please do follow me. I'm always here. I think I'm going to start a space just after this one, which I call the information space, where we practically discuss anything. It's a daily show. It's running a bit late because the space is very long. But yeah, do join me for that. I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for coming. Young boys who don't know each other. Seek to serving less about people and creating a real civic identity around shared values and shared causes and each other. I'm a religious person, but I have no problem saying that my religion
So I agree. I do think that is one of the that's a good, I would say jugular for the American side, like to kind of figure out where the support and the funding and everything's coming from. And so in that sense, I mean, I don't know that it depends on what their priorities are. And if their priority is really to bringing them aside, then, do they care? Do they care about at the cost and the expense of the American people? I don't know. I mean, that's a great question to
different way. I was trying to figure out what the ultimacy that upholds and secures the truth, value, or propositions in the world was. And I eventually came to that it has to be something that has relationality the ability to uphold and secure the
Yeah, right? You saw the statement, okay.
I can't hear. No. I frankly don't know what to make of that just yet. It's weird. But what I've been looking at is the Iranian response. I'm not sure how they'll go. I expect they have to respond ahead of their own territory. We saw this back in April when the Israelis hit one of their air defense sites, and we had a significant response directly from Iran against Israel. The U.S., the French, the Brits, the Jordanians even all helped knock that down. I suspect we may get something like that again. I think the chances are high. Obviously, the proxies in the region are already starting to respond. And the question will be whether or not Khomeini is serious when he says that he's ordered the Iranian military to directly strike against Israel in preparation for a larger war. We'll see. I think the chances are probably significant, and I think a lot will hinge on what the U.S. does and does not say. I have been very, very disappointed with the Biden administration that they have not come out and said, look, if you go to war with Israel, you're going to war with us. And we're going to come in and we're going to stop you flat. They should be doing everything possible, including threats of direct U.S. intervention to prevent this. The fact that they're not, in my opinion, that increases the chances that we will see significant direct fighting, obviously at range, between the Israelis and the Iranians. Certainly it encourages their regional proxies to do more, especially if they keep withholding munitions, as we found out that they have been. The joker in the deck, I think, will be Hezbollah. Obviously, they're closely tied to the regime in Tehran. They have been for decades. And it's going to depend on whether Khomeini is annoyed enough to risk his second major proxy in the region by having Hezbollah do something.
Hamas in the south. I think there's a lot of moving pieces. There's the potential for this to blow up into something significant. There's the potential for it to simply be an increased exchange of long-range fire, and then everyone kind of backs off and goes to their separate corners. I'm not sure which one it's going to turn into just yet, frankly.
Patrick, they say that the U.S. is sending more combat fighter jets over right now, 57 minutes ago.
Yep, and as Bree said, this notion that they're putting another carrier in the region, that's been U.S. SOP for, since at least 9/11. You probably go back further to that and say, since at least the 91 Iraq War, we've had significant assets in the region. But yeah, we're seeing a somewhat increased, reported anyway, increase in U.S. Air Force deployments. What that looks like is not yet clear. I saw the same report.
So, may I say something? I just received something from Dr. Doran exactly about that, what you are talking about.
What did you say?
I have just received a message from Dr. Mike Doran exactly about what the Americans are sending to the Middle East. May I read it for you?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm reading. So Dr. Mike Doran has just written me. The Israelis are inclined to preempt the Iranians and Hezbollah. The Americans are working hard to block the preemption. Americans want a repeat of April 13. It all comes down to how willing the Israelis are to defy the Americans. There is a lot of room for miscalculation. This is what Mike Doran has written me. So don't be impressed by what the Biden administration has sent. It is nothing else but to prevent Netanyahu to take a preemptive action. That's it. This is what Mike Doran sent me. Thank you.
Well, Lillian, I don't think he's wrong, given that we keep hearing the diplomatic solution rhetoric continue to come out of the administration.
No, he is not wrong. He is not wrong because he served as a director of in the Pentagon under George Bush for 2 years, and he had his own head about also the Bush administration and their policies in the Middle East, and he knows the administration in Washington D.C. in and out. Not to talk about that he also speaks the local languages. So he would have never written me something like this unless he was sure that that's it. And Halel Biton Rosen is informing his followers that they are, despite Shabbat, they are going for a special reporting on channel 14 right now. That's it. I'm going to listen to channel 14 and I will update you from time to time.
So they're gonna allow channel 14 to stay on through the night?
Yes, for the next 2 hours at least, yeah. He has just informed his followers. I just got the information.
Who's the reporter that's gonna stay open?
He is the military and army reporter of Channel 14. That's it.
Oh boy,
I'm going to light candles now. Excuse me.
Ay, Lillian, I love you. Don't cry. Ay. Come back to this space. I'm gonna leave it open all the way through. Shabbat candles are not till 7 at least in Israel. So, ay, Lillian. Ay. They need to strike right now. Right now. They can't wait. I think Patrick,
I think this is why Netanyahu called the cabinet in order to take that decision, yes or no. God behite Israel.
I think all the decisions have been taken already, Vivian, and I think
God behite Israel.
we say אשרי אדם פוחד תמיד, and it's good to always be aware of danger that may come, and always pray, and always never underestimate the enemies, but also remember all the time that, as we say, Lo Alman Israel, maybe a big things will come today.
I'm so sorry I'm not down there to be with you. I feel so guilty. So guilty.
No.
Watching it from far, I feel so guilty.
Guilty for what?
For not being.
I feel guilty that you're going to miss all the fun.
I feel
See, next time you should be here so you don't miss all the fun.
I'm not afraid.
Give me 1 second.
I'm not afraid. I feel guilty for not being down there with you. I feel
you're with us all the time.
So far away.
You're here in your soul, and this is where you are, and this is where your thoughts are, and and your heart is here. So that's all that matters, and we're all in it together, and we'll get together stronger than ever. And you don't know, but I've been here not only a co-host for more than 10 hours, but also the sidekick of the Olympic Games. So very soon, Raz Hershko we're gonna go for a fight of the semi-final. She's gonna have a Turkish opponent, as if things cannot be anymore. Anymore tight.
Oh my God.
So keep, kudos and make, send good vibes, good energy to our Raz Hershko in Paris. There was supposed to be also a sailing for our amazing windsurfers, but the wind in Marseille is fucked up like everything in French. And so it will be tomorrow, and if not, they're both in the second place, which means they will get automatic silver medal. But we hope that there will be sailing tomorrow. So that was the little update of the Olympic, and if you can, and if you want, and if you like judo and you like Olympic Games, you can watch Raz Hershko in the next few minutes.
Fred, your hand was up before. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I feel bad because the emotion that was just thrust upon the space was really trumps anything that I would say, but I would say that what is happening now, in my opinion, is when Netanyahu said, give me the weapons, I'll do the job, I'll finish this. There had to be a decision that was made. The decision was going to be, was the United States, the West, the free world that wanted to live in peace, willing to kick the can down the road, defend against this onslaught that'll come upon Israel right now, and finally take the offensive actions necessary to potentially deter it? Or were they going to just kick the can down the road and let the next attack be in their homeland against Israel with 10,000 missiles, or just wait, for that inevitability to happen? We don't know exactly what decision has been made. I am positive that Israel, once they can document either through United States intelligence and or their own, that they are under attack, meaning something has been launched towards them, that they will immediately look, not wonder about if it's crossing into Israeli airspace or not, but will utilize all of the technology and all of the military might that they have in the region to defend the nation. There will not be, let's wait for it to cross through Iranian geography before we implement strategies and equipment to defend Israel. And American, and it's a fine line, right? But at this particular point, I would imagine they might as well wait for the first drone from Yemen or the first, cruise missile to be launched so that they can tell the world, we waited, here's the documents, here's the intel, we were under attack and we responded. It's worth it. So we'll find out, like Patrick said, if the decision has been made to kick the can down the road and play defense, or if offense and changing the dynamics in the region is genuine. We already know. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to Patrick, what's the over and under that Israel says to the UK and the US, hey, listen, we can't run the risk of something coming through. We got to do something significant ahead of schedule. How quick can those decisions change, in your opinion, Patrick, military-wise, or Bree?
Well, it really depends, and I'll let Bree speak to this too, but, that sounded condescending, Bree, I'm sorry. I haven't enough coffee apparently.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks, Patrick. I really just joking.
I'm sorry. This kind of stuff can change very, very quickly. If we see a significant response from Hezbollah, and a saturation attack that does overwhelm Iron Dome and its ancillary defenses, and it really starts doing a lot of damage, then yeah, Israel may make the decision, okay, we certainly have to go into Lebanon. We may have to conduct direct strikes against Iran to make it clear to them that they need to tell their people to back off. So this certainly has the potential to do that. And frankly, a lot of it's going to depend on what Israeli intelligence is telling Bibi and Mr. Gallant and the rest of his government. If they're saying, look, we're anticipating a huge response, they may decide to try and preempt. If they're saying, okay, they're pissed off at us because we made them look like fools, and they're going to make a show, but it won't be anything serious, then obviously it goes the other way. The other thing to consider will be what the Israelis think the Biden administration is going to do, and God knows who's running the place these days. Your guess is as good as mine. But if they anticipate that administration is going to continue its policy of withholding aid, of being fairly stingy with weapons resupply, offensive weapons resupply, I should say. They've been fairly good about getting them Iron Dome and defensive munitions. If their anticipation is that that's going to be the case, then obviously they're going to be a little bit more careful. If they are prepared to wait another, 6 months now, and they anticipate...
Were you saying the April strike, or are you saying since the original?
No, since the one just a week ago. If they're looking at the U.S. election and think that they may get a Trump government in, then they may hold off and prepare for a strike, a much heavier strike sometime next year. Because obviously, Trump administration was very pro-Israel. Very much tougher on Iran, I would argue, than the current administration is, both in terms of sanctions and willingness to conduct military action against Iranian targets. Not in Iran, obviously, but killing the head of the IRGC in Iraq was certainly a message that the Iranians understood.
Guys, I'm sorry, I have to bring up the breaking 15 seconds and the Turkish what is done in Ippon. Wow. Okay, semifinals, judo, Olympics, Razi Hershko for Israel just won it in 15 seconds. The woman, the opponent was ranked amazing.
And there's your sign. Patrick, if there's bombers
exactly,
in the air,
that's the sign.
If there are bombers in the air and actively participating in the theater, can we, as Americans, as Israelis, as people in the Western civilization, understand that the calculus has changed and the dynamics now are to alleviate the situation? Because without bombers, American bombers, this is a very complicated, process to try and defeat any of these.
Fred. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, if you see and detecting this before they do it is always hard. There are some aircraft tracking folks in the open source community who are quite good at it. But if we start seeing major deployments of heavy U.S. aircraft, like strategic bombers that are capable of carrying large numbers of standoff munitions that can be fired outside the range of Iranian air defense, for example. If we start seeing those kind of deployments into the Middle East, then yes, that, in my opinion, would represent a significant change in U.S. policy, either as a deterrent or a willingness to actually come in on the side of Israel and strike targets that we previously have been unwilling to go after. Yeah.
According to Israelis, in Israel, the bad strike can be very high percentage overseas, not in Israel.
Matt just said this feels like he feels like Israel might need to preemptively strike and attack Iran, and he says that because of what the IRGC general said about striking U.S. military bases over 24 hours ago.
What would you even strike, Stealth?
In Iran?
Yeah.
All the rocket launchers.
Yeah,
maybe all the rocket launchers.
Maybe Brian Nass told you something. Maybe while they were withholding .338 ammunition, which I can go buy online, they were delivering the type of ammunition that Netanyahu was speaking about, type of ammunition that can actually make a difference in Iran's nuclear program. You have to be careful. He didn't just come up with this out of thin air, Brian Mass.
It's called the third level. Nobody speak about it. When they see it, and it can be too late.
You said the third level, is that the terminology?
Yep, you don't talk about it, and Israel not stupid. We know we have so many countries with much money, so many people want to destroy us. So what do you think, they sit here and blah blah? No, they work, where they are. So we ahead of everybody for like say 10 years, I think. Yes, at least 10 years ahead. Yes, for a lot of field.
Everybody retweet the space. People are looking for my space. They can't find it. They're freaking out. Everybody wants to sit and wait in the space with us until everything goes down. It's going to be a crazy day, guys. After all this in Ramallah, they did an absentee funeral for Hania, and there was lots of people there. So thank you to Hamas Atrocities account for posting this with the video. And the narrative that Hamas is only in Gaza, as we all know, is baloney. So,
I just thank God that Netanyahu is the prime minister in these moments. I feel safe. I feel secure. I know that maybe some big things are going to happen. I feel that when he's the one steering the wheel, and no one hide information from him. I'm quite sure. But by the way, just so you know, there has not been any changes in the orders of the home front command. Means whichever was before is still now, nothing new. I guess that if there was some reason to change it, they would have.
Did the army just release a video from Pikud Haoref regarding
home front command.
Okay, so they did release the video right now.
But they changed something in the instructions?
Yeah, I don't know. It's my first time watching this. I haven't watched it before. I just posted in the upward bubble. I'll send it to your DMs.
I'll see it now.
They give instruction, basic instruction, what to do in case of that or this. It's typical.
Okay.
You know Iran.
Yes, so I read it now. They just say again when there's change when the home front command is changing the readiness, the alert. For example, saying no gathering of over 500 people together. This is something that we've been through before. No gathering in this or that area. Stay 1 minute away from each other. Nothing like that was given. The only instruction that they were giving now, just like before, was make sure that you know your surrounding, that you know where is the nearest shelter, that you know the basic, the level of readiness that we should have all the time. So again,
guys,
it should tell you something, and you can.
A report from the Times of Israel says Iran planning to launch drones at Israel from Syria as part of threatened retaliatory attack.
Yeah, and Syria something was gonna happen with Syria, and so they'll make Grand Canyon in Syria also. What do you want me to tell you? I mean,
even closer for parking Tel Aviv.
Yeah, Bree.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm hearing from sources now. I hope that you will seriously consider keeping this space open for the next 24 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be needed.
Oh my God. Okay, all right, okay.
Oh my God.
They'll reach out and ask for help and let people help guide you through this.
Yeah, please, and guys, touch grass today too, just because, there's gonna be a lot of, if this goes dynamic, there's gonna be a lot of reporting. And like we've seen before in reporting, oftentimes it can be manipulated, so give yourself a chance to kind of ensure your mental health during a time of dynamic reporting, just because things can get really emotional very quickly. God willing, I am incorrect, and there will be no dynamic reporting. God willing.
Let me just, guys, let me just give some breaking that we're getting right now from Southsider. It seems that the parliament of Hamas, yes, the world's parliament of Hamas and 3 other leaders inside the tunnels in Gaza. One of them is Ruhi Mashtaha and Samah Asarj. These are their names, so they are gone. We just eliminated them. So, so thanks to Southsiders for giving us that update. Back to you, Steph.
Okay, so if people DM me from the audience or whatever who are going to be around in case people are not available to be co-hosting with me and help me, just DM me if you want to help me, and that way I'll know who to reach out to. Thank you. Okay.
I have to go in some moment for Shabbat dinner, but
yeah,
we will do that.
Okay.
So put your space up in the nest for some reason I can't tweet it up there.
Okay.
Because it took me quite a while to find it.
Okay, so everybody retweet the space and send it to your groups, and then I'm gonna put it in the nest, I guess. Okay, so
Nobody pay attention. Iran making the biggest mistake. If you ask me, this is the end of the regime of Iran. This is start. If they act by any means,
I think so too.
They give the opportunity to Israel. Don't forget, we never fought a war against country from 1973. They are the first bride to come on stage. We fought terrorism, Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Houthi. No country there. Even Syria, next door. We do whatever we want there. They have airplanes, they have tanks, they have everything. They don't dare. So I guess they miscalculate. They think it's another war, like with Saddam Hussein. They're stupid. We are unlimited, and 750 yards. This guy got killed from the president's house. So this is double message.
Yeah.
okay, Brian.
So that So who goes
Brian
next?
and then Wilma. Brian, Vernon,
Brian.
and Wilma. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, I just want to say a word of encouragement, because a lot of people are quite on edge. Israel has not lost any war yet. There have been so many empires through history who've tried to destroy our people, have tried to destroy our country. And each of them, from the Babylonians to the Assyrians to the Ottomans to even the British Empire, all empires are now just part of history. And who are left standing? We. Only we. All of them are now part of history and are not there anymore. And when you look at how Israel came to be, I mean, even the 48 war, but also all the things after. I mean, it's hard not to believe in a God when you see what Israel overcame and is still there. And I want to encourage you, even like Lillian, who was here before, even when you're at a long distance. I mean, wherever you are in the world, we're still one family, one mishpacha. And wherever you are in the world, you can still pray. And wherever you are in the world, I mean, your heart can still be with the people in Israel. And yes, it's probably gonna be wild if the expectations are true about the news items, the news messages that we're gonna hear. But like Bree said, it's good to stay calm. Part of it is also fog of war, psychological warfare, trying to mislead your enemy, trying to confuse with conflicting reports, and even to sow unrest among the people. And I don't know what works for you, but sometimes if it gets too much, just take a moment, a news break, even if it's just for a moment, to collect yourself, to maybe even pray a little bit, or whatever works for you. And for the people in Israel, we're with you in our hearts, in our prayers. You're not alone, even if it may feel sometimes like that. You're not alone. And Israel has gone through so many things. Also, this Israel will get through. And as for
Ryan,
yeah,
wait, Andrea, hold on. Stop. Yes,
I have a
Andrea.
priest that is available to come into the space if you're interested.
No, I'm good. Right now, claims of airspace closures over the countries of Cyprus, Greece, Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan are currently false. That just came out 15 minutes ago. And Musab Hassan Yusuf just said, the Atomic Warehouse and Atomic Archive, all eyes should be on this right now. He just posted that 8 minutes ago. I don't know what that's in, if he knows something, I don't know, but
There's going to be a lot of fake news, a lot of really, you should take everything that goes out with just so many exclamation marks and question marks.
Just like October 7th and afterwards, we have to ensure that we have, like, we can cooperate things, you know, absolutely, 100%, because the crisis actors will act upon crisis.
Exactly. The chaos agents are like on 200 miles
We call it verification.
okay. Roma, jump in, and then we'll go to Vernon and G.
Hey, I just want to give two quick updates or quick reminders for everyone. I know everyone's feeling stressed, but I want to remind you that there was a guy in the Turkish parliament, we all remember him, who cursed Israel in his parliament and immediately dropped from a heart attack and subsequently died. Hugo Chavez cursed Israel. He said, I want to condemn from the bottom of my soul, from the bottom of my guts. And he cursed Israel that way. He got cancer in his stomach. So I just want to remind everybody about that. We're all here. It's going to be okay. We're going to.
I love you, Roma. You're so cute.
Yeah, by the way, if we're talking about Turkey, so just intermezzo, Raz Hershko, our judoka, woman.
I gave this update in real time.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like now she's
Really? So,
she was
yeah,
like,
I just want to say that we are waiting. Yes, amazing Ippon. So we are waiting for the final fight in which
in half an hour
we
you have
will
the
know.
final, the Brazilian who just won the second semi-final.
Yes.
It's which is huge actually, but I believe Raz can do it, and it will be one of two, either gold or silver. So
and good luck for both of them, because we like our Brazilian friends.
yeah, but good luck to Raz today. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. You're so good. Vernon, go ahead.
So, just maybe to make us all feel a little bit better in practical terms, I want you to imagine a week before the US elections, a Trump ad where you see images of us leaving Afghanistan in shambles, of money being paid to Iran, and of, God forbid, Israeli land, civilians, bases being, burnt to a cinder. That is a death knell for the Harris-Shapiro ticket. It completely blunts the selection of Shapiro as a vice presidential candidate, who I believe that is a foregone.
Vernon.
Yeah.
What did you just say, Vernon? I think you did not read the room correctly, Vernon, today.
No, what I'm saying is that
Vernon, I want you to think about what you just heard. You want all the Israelis and Jews in this space to imagine Israel's base is all burnt and what it would be
No,
like.
no. You have to let me finish. What I'm saying is,
I'm trying to change your life right now.
No, it's inconceivable to me that the U.S. would not act preemptively with Israel to prevent that. That's where I'm going with this. I'm saying that in political terms, it's inconceivable that the Biden-Harris administration would sit by and do nothing, knowing full well that it is going to be shoved up their rears a week or 2 weeks before the election. The weakness, the valid claims of weakness against the Biden-Harris administration is something that they have to find a way out of. And not backing up Israel, not joining Israel in a preemptive strike, that completely works against them. So for that reason, I am more optimistic that the U.S. will join Israel, that the U.S. will participate, and not pessimistic. That's where I was going with this.
Okay, Vernon.
So,
Vernon,
yeah.
it's like your 3-year-old pissed in the punch bowl at my birthday party. It didn't land great, but these lines forever. Wait for what you were planning on hitting. Poor guy.
Well. So here's the thing. So on the other side of the scale, imagine an ad by the Biden-Harris administration showing them actually taking action, showing them actually doing something about Iran. That works very much to their electoral benefit. So to the extent that politics plays a role in this, I think that tilts the scales in favor of U.S. help, significant U.S. help for Israel, beyond what we saw last time. That said, I still believe this is going to be much more like the last attack, though with regrettably, probably more damage. Against military targets, not civilian targets.
Bernie defending Israel as opposed to, let me finish this thing. Defending Israel as opposed to eliminating a threat to everyone are completely different political statements. I don't know which one it'll be, but you have to I'm sure you understand that there's a difference. So it all depends on the messaging, on how they want this to be. It's been mine and Sin's contention that they absolutely will try and elevate Harris to a authoritative posture. And the one way to do that is to show that she's strong against Americans' enemies. But that doesn't mean it's outright. We don't know.
The other problem is that I'm not sure what congressional authority is required for the United States to act in the way that they would really need to act to address the Iranian threat. Like, it's clear no congressional.
There is no congressional. Clearly, honestly, like.
French tell all us citizens leave Iran immediately.
Yeah, that's been reported. That's crazy though.
It's
been.
Yes, we already reported it like a couple of hours ago.
I didn't know about that. This is change everything.
Why does it change everything?
Because usually you tell friendly country ahead of time on let you people out.
Let's say that
And I didn't hear it from
a citizen in Israel to go out, but a citizen in Iran to go out. That's it.
Okay.
We should say no more.
Michal, can you take your DMs? Could you unblock, I think, 2 accounts I'm going to send you so they can come into space? They've never met you, but you have them blocked. And they're Americans, and they're total random, like, small accounts, so it's funny to me. But just unblock them for me for now, because you're my ghost, okay? Okay, I'm going to let Patrick go first, please, if you don't mind. Go ahead, Patrick, and then go. Not you, Ariel. Ariel, you're perfect. You're fine, Ariel. Just Michal.
I'm perfect. Who can imagine that? That's a good way.
Yeah, just speaking from a U.S. perspective for a minute, Vernon, I will say you're right in that the upcoming election does change the political calculus for us, for this administration certainly, because they are perceived as being weak on defense, rightly so in my view. However, what you're suggesting here cuts against so many ideological sacred cows that they hold and continue to hold. I don't know that they are willing to commit aggressive action against Iranian assets. Let me put it to you like this. We have almost 200 U.S. casualties. These are American soldiers who have been either killed or wounded. I think 183 wounded and 3 killed was the last number I saw, and that was a couple months ago. And we have not killed a single IRGC asset in response, not one. We gave local militias who were doing the Iranians' bidding plenty of time to get out of the way before we launched attacks. And we have not sunk their support ships in the Red Sea. We have not gone after, as Israel has, IRGC members operating in Syria or Iraq. They have categorically refused to respond in any way that could be perceived as direct against Iran.
Why do you think that is, Patrick? Why do you think that is?
I think it's a combination of because you have to remember, there are a lot of Obama holdovers in this administration. So these are the guys who thought that they could use Iran as a counterweight in the region for regional stability. They still buy into this. They're disastrously wrong, and they've been proven disastrously wrong every time they try it, but they still buy into this. And there's also, and this is my personal opinion, and I really want to say this, this is a purely personal view, there is a significant element of personal cowardice in this administration. They are afraid. Their ideas are bad ideas.
How does that jive? I'm not disagreeing with you, but just to help me understand it a little bit better. How does that jive with successive Republican and Democratic presidents since 1978 who all have made the same failure?
Well, they haven't all made the same failure. If you remember, Reagan essentially sunk the Iranian fleet in an afternoon, and the Iranians backed off.
No. They attacked an oil platform. They didn't sink the Iranian fleet.
Oh, yes,
Operation Praying Mantis? That's incorrect.
It was Operation Praying Mantis. They put a destroyer class ship at the bottom
Thank you.
of the Persian Gulf.
Yes,
They
did.
destroyed a couple of torpedo boats. They damaged at least one Corvette that I recall. The U.S. Navy went to town on these people, and they basically kicked their ass back into Iranian ports and did so on a whim. Reagan told them, and they did.
86%.
By contrast, you have
86% of their Iranian force Reagan took out in one day, and there was no retaliation.
That's right.
Preach.
And you contrast that with the Obama administration, where we have U.S. small craft giving up to the Iranians. We have a release of sanctions that netted them billions of dollars, and then we see an uptick in Iranian proxy violence throughout the region. If that sounds familiar, you've been paying attention for the past 3 years, where we saw the Biden administration relax sanctions to the tune of, if you believe FDD's assessment, that'd be the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, tens of billions, somewhere between 20 and 40, in addition to direct payments by both us and our allies for a combination of energy and hostage releases. And we see another uptick in Iranian proxy violence throughout the region. Oh, and the radical acceleration of their nuclear program. Trying to play nice with Tehran under the Ayatollahs has never bought the United States or our regional allies anything but death, misery, and increased security threats. The only way you deal with these people is with force. It's the only language they understand. It's the only language they're ever going to understand. Maybe one day, when the Iranians have control of their own destiny again, we can treat them like the normal nation that they used to be. But as long as these psychopaths are in charge, you have to be willing to kill them in droves.
So, Patrick, what authorities exist? What authorities exist that give the U.S. military the legal authority to preemptively strike Iran to prevent an attack on Israel?
The president has it.
For the president's status as the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces and his affirmative duty to safeguard U.S. interests and the lives of Americans. That's the only duty that matters. That's the only authority that matters.
Yeah, that's why we haven't had an actual declaration of war coming from our which Patrick and I could argue that being a negative. But we haven't had one since, for quite some time, is because the president has used his presidential powers. We'll say like Operation Odyssey Dawn, for example, with the Gaddafi situation is a perfect example of placing American assets on the ground, American assets in the water, in the skies, in support of activity that dethroned Gaddafi. That was not a declaration of war. We can take a look at other scenarios, even longer term on that. Odyssey Dawn was under Obama. A president can make these decisions to go in to and again, like Patrick, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that the president should have limited powers in response in this type of thing, but absolutely Congress has to get involved in this type of situation.
I agree. Our failure to declare wars, I think, has allowed a lot of playing around on the margins and has not produced good results for us long term.
Right, and it also permits for bad actors to make a lot of money involved with that, where congressional oversight is necessary, I think, in times of
This and there's never been more support than there is now in Congress for doing it. I think Congress is ready to, it may not be a declaration of war, but I think they're ready to convey some similar authority. Again, I understand that you're saying one is not needed, but I think Congress may be ready to further legitimize it.
It doesn't need it. They haven't even released the weapons yet that they promised they would release.
There's the whole thing even though it's being released and all the weapons that they haven't released. It's insane.
I also put the press release from last night, the press release of Biden's statements to Netanyahu during their phone call, and it was a disgrace. It only discussed defensive measures, and that I put it up in the
We got it.
I don't feel like reading it because it's just a disgrace. And last week, Vernon, I don't know if you know this, but last week the State Department reauthorized another $10 billion sanction waiver for 4 months. The money is in Omar, and they have access to it last week. So you're talking about, are they going to do anything offensive? Of course not. Look at what's going on in the
Yeah, the U.S. won't do offensive work in this because, again, it goes into the element of saying, is this directly connected to U.S. interests? I.e., like we're talking about in CONUS. When they follow through on their threat, then overwhelming force will likely be the response to that. But like the idea of preemptive is not within the cards, I think, of the U.S. Would you agree, Patrick?
Oh, I completely agree. And Vernon, I'll tell you this: you will find no harsher critic of the Biden administration's foreign or military policy than myself. I see a lot of my followers in here. You all know I have not seen an administration in my lifetime, and I'm 41 years old, that has done a worse job on the world stage than they have. I would praise them to the hilt if tomorrow, after holding a closed session of Congress, the airstrikes on the Iranian nuclear program began, starting with the killing of their key scientists and then the sites themselves, and they came out and said in closed session, Congress authorized a state of limited war between the United States and Iran to destroy their nuclear capability and prevent a strategic threat to the United States. I would praise them to the hilt, and frankly, it would be the most sane thing that any U.S. administration has done in the Middle East since 2001. But they're not going to do it.
It's not going to ever happen. Sorry, I have to say. It's just,
It absolutely won't be right. They're never going to do it. It goes against everything they believe. It goes against their personal inclination not to engage in this kind of thing.
And it shows, but Patrick, it also shows the limited nature of a lot of those in U.S. politics. Many of them, I would say vast majority, have not served in the military. So they don't really have any idea. They believe in only defensive warfare because they think we just need to. I don't know. It's like a coddling of their own emotions to consider what could be considered defensive in an offensive strike. But yeah, we are going to start to see leaderships, turn over from the baby boomer generation who haven't served into those who have served in the military. We're starting to see that happen. I think we're going to see in the next few elections, in the next 10 years, we're going to see that turnover.
I just want to say one thing. The last 24 hours, Patrick, it's come out that Kamala Harris, National Security Director, is under fucking investigation for his involvement with Iran. He's part of that fucking spying with Robert Malley, and it's ridiculous.
So I about blew a gasket when I read that. The level of Iranian penetration of this administration should have everyone in this country appalled. It is a national security threat bar none. I can only imagine how the counterintelligence people are tearing their hair out of this.
And CCP, by the way, CCP as well.
You're right. They're never gonna do it. And frankly, I'm glad to start seeing we're getting some GWAT veterans in Congress, thank God. But I agree. The overriding premise of most elected leadership is aggressive, decisive strikes to destroy potential threats before they actually become threats. It just doesn't enter their thinking. And it's really doing us a disservice when it comes to Iran. Because by the time that threat emerges, it's North Korea run by jihadis in the Middle East with nuclear bombs.
So and I think it's really important
Patrick, to the people that would say that we're holding powder for war with China, how would you respond, and potentially Russia, how would you respond to that?
Well, and that's actually a decent argument, but in this case, I don't buy it because Iran's nuclear program, to my mind, and this is, again, personal opinion, is the sole remaining strategic threat to U.S. security in the Middle East. If you eliminate that, then you can do what a lot of people are arguing, which is pivot to Asia without having to maintain serious forces in the region to curtail regional threats. You can let regional actors like the Israelis, like the Saudis, deal with it in their own way because Iran doesn't have the bomb. Once Iran gets the bomb, it becomes immunized to an incredible degree against any retaliation. And for people who don't buy that argument, I want you to look at North Korea. Because North Korea is what you will get, but it'll be in the Middle East. It'll be run by Islamic fanatics who have a long history of supporting, encouraging, and funding Islamic martyrdom in service to killing both Jews and Americans. And that is a situation that is completely intolerable.
Well, Patrick, in 2 weeks ago, Blinken. Oh, sorry.
Hold on 1 second. G needs to jump in. Hey, Matt, if you can hang out a minute, that'd be great. Just because we're gonna all pepper you. G, go ahead.
1 second. The bomb explodes next to the embassy in India.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Send me that info right now. Which embassy?
Just come from
Which embassy? U.S. embassy or Israeli embassy?
Israeli embassy.
Oh my god. Well, I said Venezuela. I did not think about India.
The message says it's near, so not in.
Okay, G, go ahead. Let me go look this up now. Shit.
Yeah, I just want to first off and start by saying I'm thinking of all my Israeli friends. I hope you guys take any preparation necessary, and please be careful. I am thinking of you. I went to my parents' place this morning before I went to work. I dropped off some things, and I talked to my parents' neighbor, who I'm not going to dox him, but he ran one part of the nuclear triad. He was the head of the Air Force for strategic deterrence and nuclear integration, and him and I had a fairly interesting conversation this morning, and his kind of sentiment and his stoicism kind of comforted me because he said that he's not extremely worried. He thinks that Israel will take steps to defend itself, and he thinks, he basically went through the things of our conversation. He said that there's a little bit more worry than need be, and he has faith in the defense apparatus. And I kind of, what Patrick was talking about, Bree's talked about, Vernon's talked about in terms of like the leftist sentiment. I posted an article of a guy named, I'm going to botch his first name, Jin Yu Wang, who is a guy that was held hostage in Iran, and he tried to do his PhD dissertation there, and ultimately was in that hive mind, or that what I'll call collective consciousness, thinking that quote-unquote U.S. imperialism and our military interventions are the reason for why this group is so radical. He found out over the course of his time there that that certainly was not the case, and that a lot of Western people have the wrong point of view when it comes to this, and now that can influence a lot of members of Congress, and it certainly does. But there still is a split between the political complex and the military complex, and there might be a situation today where Biden might have his hands tied, and he's really we crossed a threshold where he actually has to take some action, because this lack of deterrence is ultimately, like a lot of people are starting to say, it's hurting him on the world stage, and in terms of the people who view as America as world peace. And we ultimately, I'm going to end this, I'm kind of distracted at the moment, but we've completely lost deterrence. We look like a joke on the world stage, and we allow these actors to carry out, basically with impunity, their operations, and they're allowed to attack our assets without any pushback. And to me, that's deplorable. That's absolutely freaking deplorable. Deterrence is a matter of proving to your enemy that you are not to be effed with, and our enemies are just effing with us. And I'm not okay with the situation. I hope other Americans are not okay with the situation. But again, I talked to a guy this morning who used to run part of the nuclear triad, used to be on the National Security Council, used to work right out of the Pentagon, and he seems to have a lot of faith in Israel.
Thanks, G. Patrick, I don't know if you want to respond, but, and Mark, yeah.
Just very briefly, G, I agree with the last part of what you said, but the first part, I will tell you, I don't think anything short of an attack that produces significant U.S. casualties will prompt the Biden administration into serious action. And their track record over the past basically 8 months since 10/7 is the reason I say that. If we saw something like the USS Cole, a U.S. warship taking a serious hit that resulted in casualties, you might see it. And to Vernon's point, this is partially because the election is coming up. If it wasn't, they'd probably try to paper that over. If you saw, say, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad take a direct hit for whatever reason, either it was saturation or they just got a lucky shot through, and you saw significant U.S. State Department casualties and probably military as well there, or another outpost in the region, you're going to have to see a significant number of Americans die before it moves the needle for this administration. And I'll let people make their own judgments based on that fact, as they will. But keep in mind,
God forbid it.
God forbid.
God forbid it.
We lost 3 guys in Jordan. And everyone's focusing on the Biden administration's screw up in Afghanistan with the recent election, but everyone forgets we lost 3 U.S. Army soldiers in Jordan, and it was, we shot a few missiles into the Syrian and Iraqi desert, and then we just kind of forgot about that. But we have 3 American KIAs, and nobody really seems to care. It was, it happened. We'll make a show of responding, and then we'll just kind of forget about it. It's going to take something serious, and as Bruce says, God forbid, but I don't think anything else moves the needle for this administration, because mentally, they're just not, they refuse to accept that you have to deal with the Iranians by force. And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. I addressed a few of them earlier, but that's where they are.
Thanks. Thank you, Patrick. That's important points.
Yes, but Patrick, yes, but since we are always speaking about these kind of issues and about this retaliation that needs to be done, and all of the time we're getting, backlashes from the Biden administration, like the fact that we are saying that American blood is not coming cheap.
Marines right off the sea here.
Yes, and we are fighting. We are fighting. Why exactly do we need to do all kinds of special maneuvers to retaliate instead of retaliate and say to them in the face, we retaliate for that American soldier that you did something to him? Why are we supposed to be so apologetic and pushing with
The Americans could have taken out Shukar, who killed 263 Marines since the 80s, I'm assuming some time ago. The Israelis did it, and fucking Biden didn't even mention it. It's been over 24 hours and he didn't mention the American Marines that were killed in the 80s. And funny enough, Michal found it, and so did Digitali too, which is the other girl who was here earlier. The video just recently of Netanyahu in Congress talking about the U.S. Marines. It was obviously foreshadowing because they had planned to take out the guy, the number one next to Nasrallah in Hezbollah's. They took him out, and he's the one who coordinated and planned that attack. So it is what it is.
Well, maybe, no, it's not, it is what it is.
Breaking observations.
Wait. The issue goes like this. It's not like Monopol that you just put soldiers over there. This is bad management. This is what I'm saying. The bad management where Democratic Party is in control. Why? Because they are just putting the soldiers over there. Those soldiers need to be active in getting orders to kill on site. If they see somebody that they're attacking them, if somebody is attacking American soldiers, they need to respond. They don't need to wait until Mr. Biden will be I don't know, maybe he needs special attention or something like that until he will be wake up. No. If you have any kind of problem, American soldiers need to shoot immediately. Not wait so Mr. Biden will give them the permission to do something. For what?
Okay, a couple of things just came out. I want to hear from Matt, but it says that Iran plans on attacking on Tisha B'Av. Western intelligence sources have informed Sky News Arabia that they have evidence of Iran's plans to attack Israel on Tisha B'Av in response to the assassination of Hania. Begins on August 12th and ends on August 13th, according to a report published on Friday. Take this report with a grain of salt. So I don't know. This is another data point. As far as we know, it's happening tonight and tomorrow. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on what's going on? You got UK force, you got UK, and you've got US and Italian Air Force, and all sorts of interesting things going on. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, it's scary. I was just messaging with somebody who claims to have contacts with somebody higher up in the IRGC, basically like an intel leak from the IRGC, saying that they plan on launching upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 cruise missiles, rockets, drones, and that's just insane. And we do know that Iran's going to have a much larger response going towards Israel. My question really is, why is Israel waiting, right? Like, in my opinion, Israel should be...
They called an emergency meeting 2 hours ago. Netanyahu's with all the defense ministers, as far as we know. So we don't know what's been the response since that meeting.
Right, but I also know that there's lots and lots of ISR likely over top of Iran, and so does the United States government. We're likely sharing that intelligence. So there's no excuse, once weapons start to be moved in and about Iran, for us not to actually start preemptively striking. Iran put on 1,400 new centrifuges last month, and the IAEA confirmed it. Iran wasn't hiding it. It's real. It's a very real threat. It's a very real possibility. And, a lot of people are forgetting about the Houthis and Russia's and Putin's threat to arm them. So these are very real threats. These are very real possibilities that could be going on.
Yes, but taking account, Matt, that when the last time that we were captured by 400, 500 UAVs and all that, what was shot at us, together with all kinds of ballistic missiles and such. And Mr. Biden called us and said to us, if Israel will retaliate after this attack or through this attack, I'm out. That's the two words that we heard from Biden. I'm out.
Okay, so I have an update. I have an update myself.
You know?
I've got a semi-breaking update on that.
What's up?
First, okay, OSINT Defender has posted that a U.S. defense official has stated, and I won't read the whole thing because it's too long, that American forces in the Middle East are taking necessary measures, ... to assist with defensive and offensive operations currently underway. Keyword being offensive.
Right. And let's see how much offensive it will. Look, here's the thing. Netanyahu is not going to give two shits what Biden has to say right now because it's his country and it's his people that are at stake. He listened to Biden, unfortunately, in my opinion, when it came down to the invasion of Rafah and taking care of Rafah, and that unfortunately cost a lot of people their lives. And I don't think he's going to make that same mistake when we have a ginormous amount of civilian lives that are currently at stake. I mean, it's quite literally the entire country. Haifa is under threat. Tel Aviv is under threat. Like pretty much every civilian population of Israel is under threat. And if you sit back and you wait for something to happen, it's not going to end well. The big difference between this time versus last is the amount of munitions that are easily predictable that Iran is going to fire towards Israel. The span of time in which they unleash those weapons is going to determine their effectiveness. And there is no amount, in my opinion, of aircraft, depending on how many munitions Iran launches at a single time, of aircraft that are going to be able to properly defend Israeli skies. Last time we saw a large wave of drones that were easily shot down, followed by crews of ballistic missiles. However, should there be a very, very large volume of fire that ends up coming at one time, I highly doubt we're going to be capable of knocking all these munitions down, which means inevitably.
It sounds like new tech is going to be shown tonight, so I just want everybody to prep themselves. I'm so excited. There's going to be new stuff. There's going to be new stuff pulled out of our jump board. The what? The Barak. What are you talking about? I'll send you the video. Okay. We don't know. They're actually. We don't know what it is, but right. There's an elite and good for Israel. Yeah, but it seems like there's going to be some new stuff to help with all this. I don't know. Vernon and Reference Defender, they have been inconsistent, they've been inaccurate, have been followed for almost a year. They are Kamala Harris supporters, and they are fitting the narrative. And you will not find anywhere, because I saw that tweet earlier, you cannot find anybody that's saying that America is going to take an offensive position. Today we read that in the New York Times that U.S. is going to send some more fighter jets, but it's for protecting the U.S. troops and the bases, not for Israel, but to protect their I'm having up all night.
Janice, get some rest, because it's gonna be a long night. It's okay, don't worry about it. They're trying to get people out of Lebanon. And they're trying to get, Patrick's hands up and
breaking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that guy, the Mufti, the one that imam that was spreading hate speech in Jerusalem.
Arrested, yeah.
Akalan Sabri. So Mr. Sabri is right now going to the jail. He will spend his time. I don't know when he's going to get out.
Okay, that is okay. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, very briefly. Matt, your concern about a saturation attack is well-founded, and I'll add this to it. The nightmare scenario is that we see that type of mass launch from Iran, either all at once or in quick succession, coupled with a significant barrage from Hezbollah against northern Israeli targets. In that case, you would see Iron Dome get overwhelmed simply because they don't have enough launchers to shoot all that down. And frankly, neither the U.S. nor allied aircraft are in the region numbers can knock all of that down either. They could probably get a significant percentage, but some of that's getting through. And if it were targeted on, say, a population center instead of a military target, there is the potential for a mass casualty event. So yeah, I think that's a well-founded worry, frankly, at this point.
Matt, jump in.
Yeah, it is a very serious threat, and the Israeli defense actually did a very decent job last time of mitigating a lot of those coming in. I know a lot of the GPS jammers and all of that crap worked very, very well in order to avoid successful strikes. They did have a couple that came close, but when your target is not a precision target and it's something like an actual city that they're sending these munitions into, there is you throw it enough times, they are bound to hit the bullseye, and if they throw enough, they're going to hit them. And it's just one of them is going to cause a mass casualty event. So I think it would be in Israel and the United States' best interest to preemptively launch an attack. But that opens up, an entire regional conflict at that point, because we do have U.S. forces that are stationed abroad over inside of Syria, over inside of Iraq, over inside of Jordan. And those forces are going to be under attack at the moment we launch one. And like the gentleman was saying earlier, we lost 3 U.S. troops inside of Jordan. The other day, al-Assad got attacked again over inside of Iraq. Last year, when al-Assad got attacked, we had a U.S. contractor that died from a heart attack, but there was also 30 or 40 TBI incidents that took place. So the amount of fire that's going to take place, but I don't think it's just going to be the militias, or the local jihadist groups that are over there targeting U.S. forces. I think we're likely to see Iran directly engaging U.S. military bases as well, just like they did, was it last year that they went after the consulate up in Erbil?
Yeah, Matt. If I rotate people down, my military people are all staying up on stage until they want to leave, but essentially I won't move those people. But if I do, I'll just rotate you, I'll bring you right back up, just so that some people can make some statements. G, I know you have a response, then Brian.
Yeah, I'll be quick because Brian was actually before me, and I like hearing Brian talk. But I kind of want to talk to the point what Patrick responded, kind of what Matt was talking about. There are more complex dynamics, political dynamics that people are at least thinking about on the base layer here. There's kind of push and pull. There's 2 parties, interested parties that you have Biden and you have Netanyahu, who will not necessarily equally, but will have how should I phrase this? Different reactions from their public in case of bad scenarios. So let's say, hypothetical, God forbid, Iran decides to strike a civilian target and they are successful. There will be a lot of blame put on Biden, and that will not help Harris for the election. It will exacerbate not necessarily narratives, but the situation and our positions and our feelings of that this administration lacks strategic deterrence. So there's dynamics. If Israel is hit and there are civilian casualties, there's dynamics at play that have not really, and it's a direct strike from Iran. There's dynamics at play there that we have not seen before. Yes, it's terrible that we had 3 servicemen died in Jordan, but this it is a different scenario. And Patrick, I agree with you. We should have responded when those servicemen were killed. But again, when you have the situation presented as it is at the moment, where you have this rather ambiguous kind of lead up to it, if there is a bad situation, it could have significant political blowback for the Biden administration and also the Harris administration. It would be political fuel. That's one thing that people are not hitting. And I know it sounds like I'm not being empathetic to the lives that may be at risk, but I'm thinking of this. I'm thinking of every person who's in Israel right now. And I started when I came up. I hope all of you take any necessary preparations to keep yourselves, your families, and your friends safe. And Israel and the United States. I know it's not optimistic with the United States at the moment, but hard times create strong men, and this is a hard time.
So, gee, I just saw, do you guys know that Lindsey Graham did a whole presentation today about Iran? Did you guys see that? Okay, so this is, I'm just listening to Christian broadcasting news right now, and the coalition for tonight is been ready to go from the US, the UK, and Israel side. So they must have already talked about this when Netanyahu was in DC, so this, or at least with CENTCOM or whatever. So Matt, I think you wanted to give a response, and we'll go to Brian, but he's putting a resolution forward, Lindsey Graham is right now on Iran. And Israel should be allowed to go offensive,
I just want to point out that the U.S. did respond to those 3 U.S. service members killed in Jordan. It was a delayed response. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, we actually executed somewhere in the vicinity of 60 plus targets. So, I mean, we did respond, but it was delayed, and it just took too damn long, to be completely honest.
symbolic targets, not actual meaningful ones.
Well, that, and you also have to question whether or not we started to warn some of these places ahead of time. I was actually shocked to see that we killed anybody, to be perfectly honest.
It's crazy. Brian, jump in.
Okay, it is a little bit back.
deal of the summer is extended. Save up to 25% on moving and storage until
On the Wanderings of Ulysses by Thomas Taylor. Read by Dan Luttrell. In my history of the restoration of the Platonic theology, and in a note accompanying my translation of the treatise of Porphyry on the Cave of the Nymphs, in that work I attempted, from the hints afforded by Porphyry and the work of an anonymous Greek writer, De Elixis Erroribus, to unfold the latent meaning of the wanderings of Ulysses as narrated by Homer.
Hands are too strong for Hamas. Hamas defenses are too strong for Israel. So they will never.
Money runs the politics in both parties. I mean,
You better listen to me and listen to me good.
administration come. I am Kyle Rittenhouse, Outreach Director for Tech.
Have been hot and remain hot as a function of their geography.
I'm not going to start on that.
And policy is going to have a hard time. When God has something for you, it doesn't.
The best way to fight the demons.
Have been hot and remain hot as a function of their geography.
I'm not going to start on that.
And policy, this is how you know you're. incredible directive. Benjamin Netanyahu.
I think that it's time.
El ejército israelí ha confirmado este jueves.
Civilians there are military killed civilians.
The truth is.
This package was so big.
How can I help you?
There, we've got the goldfish, we got the ping pong balls, and, we're probably missing some teeth. And we're just waiting for the park to open and the consumers to come in. And right now, it's just a bunch of carny folk jerking each other off. So that's kind of the way I see it. But when the carnival opens, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the layout so far looks really cool. I like how you can swipe through, it'll sort of feature rooms for you, you can swipe through. And I love that people are able to do like that wallpaper photos to advertise events and stuff. I was in a real estate room this morning and they were utilizing the video. Have you done it at all yet?
I played around with video a little bit, but I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more of that. One of the things that I'm going to start doing with Healthy Debates over there is instead of just all there, we've got the goldfish, we got the ping pong balls, and, we're probably missing some teeth. And we're just waiting for the park to open and the consumers to come in. And right now, it's just a bunch of carny folk jerking each other off. So that's kind of the way I see it. But when the carnival opens, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the layout so far looks really cool. I like how you can swipe through, it'll sort of feature rooms for you, you can swipe through. And I love that people are able to do like that wallpaper photos to advertise events and stuff. I was in a real estate room this morning and they were utilizing the video. Have you done that at all yet?
I played around with video a little bit, but I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more of that. One of the things that I'm going to start doing with Healthy Debates over there is instead of just all there, we've got the goldfish, we got the ping pong balls, and, we're probably missing some teeth. And we're just waiting for the park to open and the consumers to come in. And right now, it's just a bunch of carny folk jerking each other off. So that's kind of the way I see it. But when the carnival opens, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the layout so far looks really cool. I like how you can swipe through, it'll sort of feature rooms for you, you can swipe through. And I love that people are able to do like that wallpaper photos to advertise events and stuff. I was in a real estate room this morning and they were utilizing the video. Have you done that at all yet?
I played around with video a little bit, but I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more of that. One of the things that I'm going to start doing with Healthy Debates over there is instead of just all there, we've got the goldfish, we got the ping pong balls, and, we're probably missing some teeth. And we're just waiting for the park to open and the consumers to come in. And right now, it's just a bunch of carny folk jerking each other off. So that's kind of the way I see it. But when the carnival opens, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the layout so far looks really cool. I like how you can swipe through, it'll
we're probably missing some teeth. And we're just waiting for the park to open and the consumers to come in. And right now, it's just a bunch of cars and folks jerking each other off. So that's kind of the way I see it. But when the carnival opens, I think it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the light.
Okay, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast.